The Trump administration is excluding nursing from professional degrees. This is a great idea to lower the cost of tuition. We are in a historic nationwide nurse shortage. Let's explain what the Trump administration is doing here to make this worse. Gladly. So first off, it's important to know we're talking about only graduate level federal student loans. And prior to the big beautiful bill, it was pretty easy for any student who wants to pursue a master's program to get basically unlimited federal student loans. But the big beautiful bill made a change that capped the amount one can get for a loan and made two separate categories. One, what they call professional degree loans, which have caps of $50K a year and $200K in a lifetime, and graduate degree loans, which have caps at $20K a year and $100K in a lifetime. Yeah, and the bill allows the Department of Education to decide which degrees are considered professional and which are merely graduate, and they just decided that nurses are merely graduate, not professional, and therefore will not have access to the high loan limits. Shouldn't we be incentivizing more nurses, not less? Let's establish some facts first. 80% of the nursing workforce does not have a graduate degree, so they won't be affected by this, and the majority of those getting a graduate degree will also not be affected by this because their cost is already less than that $100K in their lifetime. The Department of Education estimates only about 5% of current nursing programs will be affected. Well, the master programs that will be affected are some of the most important ones: the Doctor of Nursing Practice degrees and the Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist programs. And these nurse anesthetists are crucial, specifically in rural hospitals who don't employ a lot of anesthesiologists, so therefore these nurse anesthetists are necessary for surgeries. Why are we bottlenecking these degrees when they're crucial for America? Are they not professional enough? And here's the very point. The goal of this is to lower tuition costs. Ever since Congress removed caps on graduate loans, the cost of tuition has skyrocketed, burdening students with boatloads of debt. These new limits will naturally lead to tuition prices coming down as schools need the students, and once they realize the government isn't just blindly subsidizing every single increase they make, they will be forced to lower costs. We are already seeing this at law schools throughout the country. Well, removing these caps have allowed more students to attend higher education. A more educated society is a good one, and what I just don't understand is the minimization of nurses throughout our country. They are the backbone of our healthcare system. They kept us afloat during COVID, and now there's a nationwide shortage. Why are lawyers and dentists considered professional, but nurse practitioners, who often play the role of doctors, are not? Look, this classification was not based on worth to society. It was partly based on a 1965 Department of Education professional definition that didn't list nursing. Okay, that definition just provided examples based on that time. It didn't create a criteria. Plus, nurse practitioners weren't really a thing until the 1970s. Well, that's why the Department of Education made a three-pronged, unbiased list for programs to be professional. It must be all the following: mandatory for licensure, tied to one national exam, and built on a uniform nationwide curriculum. Nursing just didn't match that. Well, now according to all the nurse associations and a Republican nurse practitioner in Congress, this will exacerbate the nursing shortage even more. Again, it only affects 5% of nurses, and the goal is to do the opposite by lowering tuition costs. Well, you may end up raising them by forcing wannabe nurses to take out private predatory loans. Let's see what happens. Great. Whoa, the Department of War just announced they may recall Senator Mark Kelly to military service for a court-martial over his involvement in the Defy Illegal Orders video. The political weaponization has seeped into our military. This is disgusting. Let's explain a few things before we argue. So Senator Mark Kelly is a retired Navy captain and NASA astronaut. Yeah, where he served our nation over 24 years, flying 39 combat missions during the Gulf War and logging over 5,000 flight hours and 4 space shuttle flights at NASA. He's the definition of a patriot. But because he served longer than 20 years, he is considered a retired service member and therefore still subject to the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, unlike the other veterans in the infamous video. And all the Department of War said today is they are following their protocol and opening an inquiry into the senator, which could lead to a recalling of the senator to service so he can be court-martialed and face charges, but that has yet to happen. Which is just so absurd that any of this is even happening. The video released by these duly elected Democrats said absolutely nothing other than reminding service members of their oath of office. They said you must defy illegal orders, which is the law. They were merely reminding military members of their oath. Look, the Department of War has promised due process for Mark Kelly. A military lawyer will screen the allegations and a determination will be made if the evidence exists that Kelly violated the UCMJ or the U.S. Code, specifically 8 U.S. Code 2387, which prohibits actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Okay, that code requires intent, and these lawmakers made their intent clear. They took an oath to the Constitution, and all their video did was remind service members part of their oath is one to defy manifestly illegal orders. Every service member is trained knowing this, and all this video did was remind them of that. Okay, but their reminder came with this huge lead up saying, and I quote, "Right now the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home," unquote. This is a clear insinuation that illegal orders are already being given, but they gave no examples, and you can see when Democratic leaders are making this unclear claim how it could cause chain of command issues. Okay, but their lack of examples could be interpreted that they were saying illegal orders are not being given now, but they see the breadcrumbs of potential future illegal orders. Like what? Trump's first term when he reportedly suggested shooting protesters, or when he incessantly called to overthrow the 2020 election, or when he called for the termination of the Constitution, or this term when he said, quote, "He who saves his country does not violate any law," said every dictator ever, or Stephen Miller suggesting judges' rulings against them are committing legal insurrection, or his top members in the DOJ reportedly openly suggesting violating court orders. I can go on and on. Okay, I mean, it feels like we're cherry picking. Must I remind you, these Democrats have now admitted no illegal orders have been given as of yet. Don't you think that would have been an important piece to add into this video? China, Russia, Iran, they're all praying U.S. military members start questioning the orders they're given, as that leads to a weakened military, which threatens our homeland. Again, we're living in a time where we have a president who admitted he thinks as long as he's, quote, saving his country, he cannot violate any laws. These lawmakers merely reiterated that even in a time where we have a president who disregards our Constitution, that service members' oath remains to the Constitution. It is crucial. They know Democrats will have their back, and that's all that was done here. Well, now it'll be up to the legal processes of the U.S. Senator Mark Kelly will be given his due process to see whether or not he upheld the laws of the United States. If reminding people of their constitutional duties is illegal now, we have some issues. I think I've made my point on that. Have you?
Man, all right. That's where we're at with that right there. And guess what, guys? We are live. Yo, this is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to do a media analysis. Of course, we're about to get into what they now call the Sedition 6. And then, of course, we're going to get into more topics like Venezuela and Ukraine. But let's start at home. Let's get right into it. Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen.
Now the peace president's giving Democrats a path to a ceasefire. Liberals can follow Mondani's lead or let the TDS metastasize.
Hitler didn't start with camps. He started with Make America or Make Germany Great Again slogans, banning books, bullying the press, blaming immigrants. I want to say that the United States is not America. America includes Canada, Mexico, numerous other countries in Central America, the Caribbean, Costa Rica.
I'm sorry, where did this lady go to school at to even get that idea? She says America's not the United States, it's Mexico, it's all these other countries, it's Canada, it's Colombia, it's all these other countries too. So how dare you kick these guys out? Lady, you sound insane. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not sure where this girl went to school at, but obviously she's not educated on, well, what is America and what borders are, apparently. What borders are.
Rica, Cuba, Haiti, and Jamaica. So these are American people.
Instead of calling her a lunatic, which we could, we're going to find the middle ground. Haiti, we don't want. Canada, we'll take. And if we need to take Canada by force, so be it. We'll never lose another.
I mean, let's be real. If all of them became states of the United States, I mean, yeah, if all of them became a state, hey, their lifestyle would be a whole lot better. We'd actually have to make it better in those countries. So, I mean, hey, this could be to their advantage. I'm not preaching for it, but this could work since, these Dems want to sit here and say they're all America. Okay, let's follow that logic. Why don't we just take them all over? And yes, they'll truly be all America then. Lord knows y'all ain't going for that.
Their Winter Olympics. But the seditious six told our troops to revolt against the president. There's just one problem. Everything they're fighting against is imaginary.
We wanted to start a conversation, and we did, about the dangerous rhetoric this president is using and the threats that he's made to use our military in an unlawful way.
Specifically what?
Well, send troops into Chicago, send troops into polling stations, kill terrorists' families, arrest and execute members of Congress.
We wanted to start a conversation, not a coup. They planted the seeds for a revolution, but these rebels don't have a cause.
Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal.
If Trump has issued any illegal orders and they're telling the military to disobey, that sounds like treason. These spooks put out a propaganda video, but their handlers never briefed them on the details, so they're bombing the interviews. This is just another hoax straight out of the CIA playbook, designed to destabilize the administration and sow distrust within the military. And they couldn't even point out a single illegal order. They had to pluck it from Hollywood.
Nope, all they can point to was rhetoric. Rhetoric that Trump had, and they said might turn into an unlawful order. I'm like, so he didn't say any unlawful order. He didn't command any unlawful orders. You're just saying, well, due to his rhetoric of 1 to 2 years ago, you never know. You never know. He might just actually make an unlawful order from rhetoric that he said about, like I said, 1 to 2 years ago.
If you look at popular culture, there's like, you watch, A Few Good Men, like we have plenty of examples since World War II in Vietnam where people were told to follow illegal orders and they did it and they were prosecuted for it.
So a former CIA analyst cobbled together a congressional crew of ex-military and told guys with guns to resist because she watched a Tom Cruise movie? Come on.
It's not a coincidence that all of them have military or national security experience in their background. They were leaning into that experience to try and give a wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in our United States Armed Forces.
The seditious six are conditioning the country to think something's bad going to happen at the hand of Trump and telling the military they have an obligation to resist him. And they thought they'd get away with it. Hegseth is launching an investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, who's a retired Navy captain. The Secretary of War could court-martial him. U.S. Code, Title 18, Section 2387, and parts of the Uniform Code of Military Justice prohibit civilian or military acts that encourage troops to disobey or lose loyalty. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
Wrong. Democrats think former CIA agents should be able to subvert the chain of command and get away with it.
Well, let's be real. The law only pertains to the Sedition Act. It really only pertains to military command. Like, yeah, the fact that the one girl was like ex-CIA, she's kind of protected, I guess. Well, it's still wrong, but when a military man does it, it's like 10 times worse, and they can actually have charges brought upon him. I mean, that's why the Pentagon is looking into him.
This is insane. We should all point out how insane this is. And, these guys are trying to say that they're not acting like fascists. Secretary Hegseth, all these guys, you guys, you're not going to be able to scare us.
Trump stopped 8 wars. Why would he start one in America? These people have gone mad. He just sat down and had a great meeting with the communist Muslim immigrant mayor of New York about how they could make New Yorkers happier, healthier, and wealthier. Isn't that what Democrats want? Apparently not. They think Trump's going to order B-2s to nuke Chicago. So the way to deal with Democrats at the Thanksgiving dinner table is don't act like one. Reach across the table and say, hey, we don't agree on everything, but let's agree these mashed potatoes are delicious. And let's do the dishes together. Click here to subscribe to the
this man right here. But all right, now let's stay on the right side of media and let's get over to the 5. And then we'll get over to the left side of media and see what CNN got to say.
Consequences could be coming for those reckless Senate Democrats who posted a video urging our American military to defy, quote, illegal orders, even though they couldn't name a single one. The Pentagon now is probing serious allegations of misconduct into Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth saying he's considering recalling Kelly to active duty for possible court-martial, noting that Kelly's conduct, quote, brings discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately. And
if we could just take a quick little reference, this is what they're trying to hit Kelly with, I believe, right here. Yes, 18 USC section 2387. So knowingly advise, counsel, or urge insubordination, disloyalty, mutiny, or refusal of duty in the armed forces. I mean, yeah, distribute any material that does the above with intent to cause such acts, penalty up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Distribute any material, like that little video that they did. So this is what they're trying to hit the guy with. And will it work? Will it work out for them? Well, I mean, maybe.
There's Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin. She was completely unable to explain what illegal orders President Trump has supposedly issued. Watch this.
Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal.
Couldn't you have done a video saying,
to your knowledge, you're not aware of things that are illegal, but you went out there and said that, oh, this man might give out an unlawful order? What's the point of making the whole video? That's what I'm saying. It's like everybody's accusing you guy of sedition. now they're bringing you up to try to prove your point, or try to like defend yourself, and you guys are failing yourselves right now, like just like Crow did. Actually, Crow kind of damned himself in his interview. He pretty much said that's pretty much what he was trying to go for, to advise and instruct the youth of the military to ignore any unlawful orders that they feel that may come from Trump due to past rhetoric of Trump.
Just what you just said. If you are asked to do something,
I think for us, it was just a statement widely, right? We say very quickly and to all the folks who come to us, this is the process. Go to your JAG officer, ask them for explanation, for top cover, for their view on things. You going back to Nuremberg, right? That, well, they told me to do it. That's why I murdered people, is not an excuse. If you look at popular culture, there's like, you watch, A Few Good Men, like we have plenty of examples since World War II.
Jesse, I sort of wanted her to keep talking. I mean, what foolishness. This is a woman who won a year ago by 0.3 of a percentage point in Michigan, by 19,000 votes out of 5 million cast. And she speaks like this: I want the people of Michigan, Arizona to know their senators are interested in sound bites and social media screeds rather than facts and figures.
So I talked to 2 CIA officers who said that this is a part of a larger hoax, and what they're doing here is they're trying to condition the country to prepare for something bad that's about to happen at the hands of Donald Trump. It's straight out of the CIA playbook. It's a destabilization operation where you get people to mistrust each other. And you do this because she's an analyst. And as an analyst, she would make sure.
And she used to work for the CIA. And the CIA is, they're good at causing coups through propaganda. That's literally what they do around the world, is cause coups and cause government dysfunction through propaganda. And that's exactly what that lady pulled off right there. Not saying she's the one who completely orchestrated it, but due to her background of being in the CIA, I'm sure she practiced in it.
Sure what propaganda operations were successful, which ones weren't. So she knows what works. So the first part of the video, you establish authority. I'm CIA, I'm military, you need to trust us. Second part of the video, they introduce the threat, and the threat's not foreign, the threat's domestic, the threat's Donald Trump. And then at the end, they introduce the solution. What's the solution? You resist, you say no, but they don't give an option. They say this is an obligation for you to do. Now, she is being run because she didn't come up with this herself. She's a Brennan acolyte, and you usually don't have congressmen and senators doing anything together. They kind of hate each other. So in order to organize this had to have had some sort of handler telling her what to do. And it was risky because nothing like this has ever been done in the history of the country. And you can even tell because the media was skeptical and they couldn't answer the question. So they hadn't even been read in on the operation. You see them fumbling and stumbling. And I'm glad that the U.S. military is now investigating this guy, Kelly, because this is what we expect from Donald Trump 2.0. You can't have the deep state interfering with a duly elected presidency and get away with it. You got to draw the line in the sand, and you have to make examples out of people.
Kennedy, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth today did say that they're going to investigate Mark Kelly. He retired as a captain. He was then he was an astronaut. He's got an identical twin brother who's an astronaut. But there are special
twins experiment. Einstein.
The twins. There you go. Scott Kelly. There are special rules that you must follow if you are former military. You're always military if you're retired military. And Hegseth and Department of War are looking into that and saying this guy, who doesn't do much in the United States Senate, may actually have to go back to active duty. What do you think?
Yeah, and this guy was, I ain't gonna lie, he was pretty stupid. If anybody shouldn't have done this, it was him. Like, he should have been the person to really take his hand off it, just because he can get called back to actually get charged. Which is, well, I mean, hey. Now, I was probably like today years old, or really, I just kind of learned this like a couple days ago, that yes, they can call your ass back and put you for charges, even though you're outside of the military. So yeah, I'm not sure why he did this, knowing military law, like knowing this, it's absolutely insane.
Yes, I think
Like
that Senator Kelly might have violated the FAFO doctrine, and he's going to find out the hard way that there unfortunately are consequences, because these people aren't civilians. They have sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And they know what that means. They know what that means a lot better than we civilians do. But they make a video like this trying to make a plea to people in the armed forces. And what they're really trying to do is imply that things that you might disagree with are also illegal, although there's actually quite a big gulf there.
Yeah, that's what they're doing with ICE. Because they disagree with what ICE is doing, they feel like ICE is being illegal. They're being tricked into thinking that ICE is just kidnapping American citizens for days and deporting American citizens. But hey, you can't talk to those people. Why? Because they've kind of been radicalized to go against ICE. And that's what I was getting scared about what they were doing. I'm like, well, are you trying to radicalize the people against, the National Guard? Because let's be real. This could be seen. This is seen by everybody more than just military people. Like, this can also invoke some distrust within the people in the National Guard that are stationed in their city, and they can start taking actions against them. Like, it's crazy how they don't see the gravity of what they said.
There may be things about bombing boats in the Caribbean that I have an issue with. I may have an issue with that morally and philosophically, but I have not sworn an oath to the Constitution. So I'm not on the same ground that the warriors and the people in harm's way are. They know what they're getting into, but what these people are trying to do, they're trying to confuse them. And everyone I've spoken to in the military who is serving or who has served, they are so disgusted by this whole thing because, to Jesse's point, they see it all as a giant manipulation that it doesn't elevate the conversation. It doesn't make us safer. It doesn't make things better. And the destabilization may have catastrophic consequences for unstable people who are serving, who feel now that it's perfectly okay to violate the chain of command. That can have dire and fatal consequences.
Jessica, don't you wish you can roll the tape and delete this? This is not the finest moment. And in fact, if you are saying the commander-in-chief is giving illegal orders and he's not, that itself is...
yeah, honestly, if you're saying the commander-in-chief is giving illegal orders, you damn well better come with some proof. You damn well better be able to say exactly what these unlawful orders is, not just imply. It's like, no, that is not good. You cannot sit there and half-ass that. You got to go full throttle and sit there and be able to name these unlawful orders so we can all be aware about what's going on. Not just do this because you disagree with what Trump is doing. Like, all right, we understand you disagree with the strikes in Venezuela or the strikes in the ocean, or in the Caribbean Sea. Sorry, but yeah, those are lawful orders. They'd have been stopped a long time ago if they weren't. So I know you disagree with it, but it's lawful orders. And ICE, I know, is separate from the military. I know you disagree with Trump's immigration policies, but what they're doing is upholding the law.
Legal, because you're telling people to not comply with laws that Hegseth today said are presumed to be lawful.
There's nothing in the video that says, I want you to defy lawful orders. It's reminding people that in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you have a sworn duty to not comply with unlawful orders.
And what would those be?
Senator Slotkin gave an interview to TMZ where she did talk about what could potentially fall into those categories. As Kennedy said, bombing boats in the Caribbean when you don't know who's actually in those boats. And we don't know why General Halsey, who is the head of the...
So like I said, you guys don't know if any unlawful orders has been enacted. So I'm not sure why even say that without proof. That's the problem.
Command actually resigned from that post. We'll eventually find out what that is. They go back to 2020 when Donald Trump said shoot protesters in the legs, and Mark Esper said we're absolutely not doing things like that. Concerned that people who are serving right now have
No. Mark wrote in his book, because I remember the phrase, this man said, actually, when Trump said, oh, can we shoot at their feet? He slightly moved out the room so Trump wouldn't give him the order. So for some reason, Trump could have been joking. He could have been serious. We don't know. But we're going off what a man wrote in his book, not a recording, not a video of this man saying it. We're going off a he say, she say type of a situation here. That's the problem with that. So, Trump could have been joking. In this book, he said, I just moved out of the room. So just in case he would give me that order. I'm like, so what she's saying is actually wrong. But the person she's bringing up actually did say that Trump told him to shoot at the protesters' feet.
To tell these veteran representatives that they feel like sending troops into American cities and possibly being pitted against American citizens are things that could fall into these categories. And Jesse said, they're doing this to sow discord and distrust amongst American citizens. Now, I think what's really sowing distrust and discord amongst American citizens is the fact that the America First movement online.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
As a bunch of bot farms, and it's coming from Nigeria, and it's coming from Russia and Iran, but no one seems to really care about that. They want to talk about these veterans. And Pete Hegseth is proving.
What famous person on the right is from overseas?
I'm not sure. Not Benny Johnson. MAGA cult slayer. Look at
MAGA cult slayer.
Wait, is he related to Todd Starnes?
Listen,
never even heard of him.
Pete Hegseth is proving these Democrats' point with this idea of bringing Mark Kelly in and then possibly leading to a court martial. Because if that's what they're going to do to a sitting senator, then think about what a junior officer who's concerned about the orders that he's getting is going to face if he does go to his JAG officer. And these representatives have said that they are hearing from folks on the ground that they are concerned.
I mean, let's be real though. That's been a question. I'm gonna be honest with you, lady. We've been had this. If that's your issue, we've been had this problem. There's been plenty of time where I'm pretty sure a lot of my military guys can account for this. There's been a lot of times in their deployment that they're like, I don't know about that order, man. That seems a bit sketchy. But I mean, hey, my commander says it's good, so it's a go. They have to follow what the higher ups say. So I'm not even sure why you're even talking to the youth, because they can put their hands up with plausible deniability. We're like, look, we were just following for our higher up. We're following military code. Now, if they know for sure, absolutely for sure, that this is going to commit a war crime or anything like that, yeah. But 9 times out of 10, they're kind of scratching their head on the legality of it, and they don't know for sure. And just like my man Gaming said, they have a legal department in the military, so it already went through there. And if it went through there already and they said, okay, it's a go, then who are we to say it's an unlawful order?
About the direction that we're going in. And this is
so wait a second.
The former CIA officer is telling you what she's
everything's
hearing.
a psyop. Remember when AOC was letting undocumented people know their rights, and she said, here's a list of things that you are entitled to by being here, even if you are in this country illegally. And they said that the AOC was committing a crime, that she was trying to tell people to do illegal things and evade ICE when she was just telling you what your rights are. And these Democrats are doing the same thing. They're saying this is what your constitutional oath means.
Greg, a lot of ifs here.
I mean,
yeah, okay. I just have to remind everybody.
It is a bit weird that, she's telling illegals how, whoa, I'll say this, like, oh, these are your rights. Well, guess what? That's not really helping them when it comes to ICE. When ICE comes knocking on their door, yeah, their rights, I don't know. That's kind of up to ICE, sadly. I'm be honest with you, since they're an illegal or an undocumented immigrant, sorry, AOC, but there isn't really too much you could do for them on that note. And trust me, you can't tell ICE not to go after them. But because once that, FBI, open up! It's a wrap for them. They're cooked. It's time to go.
That they've lost all credibility. This is the same machinery that denied Hunter's laptop and claimed that Joe Biden was fit for duty. So we have no obligation to believe that they are hearing from folks on the ground. A CIA analyst, are you serious? Look, this was another unnecessary solution to an imaginary problem. It's much like finding a 7-year-old who is confused and saying, you know what you have? You're born in the wrong body. We need to chop off your junk. They always create an unnecessary solution to an imaginary problem. The Dems pretty much admit that, okay? Number one, they once they got called on it, as Jessica says, it was a video that was just pronouncing things that were obvious to everybody. So obvious, in fact, that it's in the manual. So why did you do it? And then why, when you did it, you didn't have any evidence to back it up other than hearsay, this and that. I've heard from
literally, it's like they just went straight off of rhetoric. Like, all right, so what unlawful order is Trump committing? And I mean, do you have proof? It's like, oh, well, no, we don't have no unlawful order he's committing, nor proof of it, but we have rhetoric. We have rhetoric that he said from back in the day, and we feel like that should be enough for you. Like, hey, man, the Dems, bro, y'all are hilarious sometimes. Hilarious, I give it to you. But all right, now let's get over to the next video.
For a full-on capitalism versus President Trump hitting it off with Zoran the Destroyer, the political odd couple stunning the pundit class. It was bracing for a full-on capitalism versus socialism showdown. Instead, Trump and Zoran found some surprising common ground on affordability. And the chemistry between them was, well, undeniable.
Hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City.
He's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you.
But don't get it twisted. Days later, and Comrade Z still calling Trump the F word.
Mr. Mayor-elect, just to be very clear, do you think that President Trump is a fascist?
And after President Trump said that, I said yes. And
so you do.
And that's something that I've said in the past. I say it today. And
do you still?
He don't think Trump's a fascist. He don't really think Trump's a fascist. Trust me, if he really did, then why are you sitting down trying to reason with a fascist on how to save your city? So you and the fascist is going to save New York City? Think about how that sounds. Or you're going to sit there and work with the fascist to save New York City? Think about how that sounds right now. The only reason he's saying that is because he's playing into his base. He has to speak to the base. And the base says Donald Trump's a fascist. So he got to play into it.
Believe President Trump is a threat to the democracy?
everything that I've said in the past, I continue to believe.
All right, Greg, what do you think about the meeting?
Well, I think, okay, first off, I had made some predictions before the meeting took place, and they all came true. Let's roll that tape. Oh, they don't have the tapes. It's okay. Clearly, Zoran had learned from Trump. He chose the high ground maneuver, which is affordability. It's on the high ground. You can't come out against affordability the same way you can't come out against common sense, which is what screwed the Dems. The Dems decided that they couldn't join Trump on common sense, so they stuck to the 20 of the 80-20 issue. Zoran, however, comes out with affordability, and what does Trump do? He doesn't oppose it. He just joins it. Oh, I like affordability too. So he just gets on the same high ground with Zoran, and they kind of just hang out there, and sooner or later, you're going to see which one means it, which one doesn't. I think Zoran is kind of in the fog of war right now, and the only ally he has is Trump. So Trump knows that, and Trump bails him out in that fascist thing, which was really, really nice. He said, you know, you were thinking, okay, is this Godzilla versus Mothra? No, it's really Batman and Robin. And we know who Batman is, and we know who Robin is. And when he says, don't worry about it, that was his way of saying, I bailed you out. Also, that little moment there with Trump basically said the word fascist is just meaningless. I don't care if you use it. You can call me it. I don't care, because really it doesn't mean anything. But the other thing, and it's really important, what Trump did.
I mean, yeah, when you apply it to people who aren't really fascists, it kind of loses its sting. I'll be quite honest with you. Like when you say that everybody's racist just because they disagree with you, that word racist, it loses its sting. Why? Because you're misusing the word. You're supposed to rarely use it for people who are actually being a fascist, actually being racist, so it don't lose its sting. Now people are okay with being fascist, being called racist, being called bigoted, because, man, these Dems done overuse it. So the word done lost its sting.
He always does is he emphasizes the individual and not the group. So he gave credit to Zoran, not as a socialist or a Democrat, but as a winner. He says, I was really impressed by how he won. And I wonder if this was a subtle cleaving, pulling Zoran away from this kind of identity obsession and saying, look, you're now with the big boys. It's not that the idea of socialism, that's gone. You won, so let's work together. I don't think Zoran's ever experienced anyone talking to him as an individual outside of the identity politic. He's been mired in that. He loves it. But now this guy comes in and recognizes him as a personal achievement, not a political one.
Jessica, why don't more Democrats come into the Oval Office and try to work together on things that they have common ground with Donald
TDS.
Trump?
Well, a few very big deal Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer came into the Oval, and they were greeted with MAGA hats and then AI sombrero videos. So Mamdani got a very different visit to the White House.
Yeah, because Mamdani came in with a different energy. Let's be real. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they came in I'm be real with you. They didn't come in trying to work things out with Trump. Actually, they came in there knowing damn well Trump wasn't going to go for what they were talking about. So they already knew that meeting was going to go bad. Mamdani was actually trying to talk to this man Trump and actually trying to work things out with him. Yeah, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, no, they knew that they were trying to drag this. They knew they were going to drag the shutdown out. They knew that what they were offering to the Republicans was unreasonable. So trust me, this was a way different meetup
than other Democrats. And I think part of it was that Donald Trump was genuinely charmed by him. There are people who don't like his politics that admit that the guy is, off the charts charismatic and very compelling. And I think that Mamdani came into this meeting with exactly the right attitude because he knew he had to go down to DC to make sure.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Let's get the likes up.
That New York City, which we are mayor, in a month and a half or so, needs all of its federal funding. And he's not going to get the tax hikes that he wants from Kathy Hochul, either personal or on the corporate level. And he needs to make sure that the streets aren't flooded with ICE agents and that we get our money.
I don't know about that, man. Kathy Hochul might fold to Mamdani's demands. Why? Because, well, he was elected on it. So it's basically the people of New York is going to damn near turn against the government or the governor if she's sitting there saying, oh, well, yeah, we're not going to help you guys out with the plan that you voted Mamdani in for, so we're not going to raise taxes and screw you guys. And that means Mamdani, instead of blaming Trump, he can actually blame his base, which would be, or actually just blame Governor Hochul for not raising taxes and not allowing Mamdani to, get the money he needs for a socialist agenda. Tough.
Trump grinning at him like that was, I don't want to say completely unexpected, but definitely was a picture that I don't think he'll be enjoying as campaign season rolls out, because he is giving up the talking point that New York City is going to be a hellhole. He even said, I think conservatives are going to be surprised by how well things are going to go there. And you saw the reaction online from a lot of MAGA folks.
Yeah, I was surprised and I was happy that it went well. Actually, I was so happy that it made me enjoy this little clip 10 times more. Like, oh my goodness. All right.
I was talking mad shit about the president before I came here, but as soon as I met him, I saw his big balls and how handsome he is in person, and so tall and tanned, just perfect. I just froze. He's definitely the alpha male, the greatest president of all time. I hope he runs again in 2028. He'll definitely win. I'm just lucky I get to be in the presence of such greatness. Best day ever. And Mr. President, congrats on those big, beautiful balls of yours.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Nah, bro, nah. The edit was so smooth. Actually, the edit was too smooth. But all right, back to let's get serious again.
Saying, wait, I thought that he was a communist. I thought he was a socialist, a jihadist. He sold Elise Stefanik out there pretty bad.
But isn't that what you want, though? Don't you want to put politics aside to solve problems?
Oh, sure. I'm talking about what's going on with you guys. I'm cool with what happened.
But you're mind reading. You don't know what we're thinking.
Well, I know what Todd Starnes is thinking. Well, I thought Mamdani was supposed to be a fascist dictator. What the heck is going on at the White House? You saw a lot of that online where people thought that they were going to get someone who actually
we all thought we were gonna, well, I'm real with you. The average Fox viewer thought they were gonna get a jihadist, Islamist, like socialist psychopath that was gonna take over New York. It was gonna be completely Muslim in the next 2 years, and that was gonna do everything in his power just to go against Trump. That's what we thought. Well, not me, but your average Fox viewer, just based off how Fox was painting Mamdani. So yeah, and we got the complete opposite. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see, maybe he switches up, maybe he stays course. We'll see how this plays out.
Thought that their words mattered, right? So Mamdani has said a lot of things, and then he continued with Kristen Welker and said that he meant them. But Donald Trump has called him a bunch of bad things, and he just stared at him like how he looks at Satan in South Park.
No offense to Todd Starnes, but I don't think the entire weight of your opinion should rest on one siding of Todd Starnes.
It's not one side. Look, there were a lot. Why deny it?
But I think everybody who knows Donald Trump knows he's going to go in there and he's going to have a nice, cordial meeting with anybody, and he has before.
This was classic Trump. This is classic Trump. He's the charmer here. He's charming this guy who hasn't even taken office yet, and he's hoping that this guy will not follow through on some of his radical ideas, hope that he will rethink some of his non-radical ones. And for a movement, Jessica, that talks about no kings, you got Trump sitting there like royalty and the guy looking like he's going to go get him a Diet Coke. I mean, he looks like the supplicant. It looked like the apprentice to the senior partner, no doubt. But this is classic Trump. He did this with Barack Obama and Joe Biden during transition. Same kind of meeting. He congratulated Hillary Clinton when he beat her and said, wow, she ran a really tough campaign. She's really tough. He hopes she'll help him in his presidency. Of course, she did nothing of the sort. More on that later. But I think Mondani would have done better saying no to the meeting. He's reduced some of his credibility among the folks who basically are addled with Trump derangement syndrome and essentially look at Trump and say, the more that he enrages me, the less I should engage him. And Mondani did the opposite here. I hope they can work together for the good of New York and the good of the country. Trump is not someone who goes by what you say. He's someone who goes by what you do. And this guy didn't even take the reins yet. I have something else here. Imagine if Mondani had gone in there and said, look, I disagree with things you're doing. Here are the names of the people who have been abducted by ICE and deported unfairly. He did nothing like that. He looked totally cowed and charmed to be there. And you know why that is? Everybody does. If you really wanted to make Donald Trump irrelevant and wish him away, you would ignore him. I have never encountered anyone in 10 years of being.
I ain't gonna lie. Trump did look a little bit too happy. Like Trump looked so happy. It almost sounded like Mondani said, Trump, look, I really want you to run New York. You're just going to be, I'm just going to operate through you. Like you're just going to operate through me, really. Okay. You're really going to be running New York. Like the man was smiling way too hard. Like as if this man done got every concession in the world from Mondani. I think that what worries the left as well, but it also worries us too. Cause we're just like, yo, what happened? Like, all that animosity just evaporated. But hey, I'm here for it. I'd rather peace than war. What can I say? But all right, now let's go ahead and get into what the Democrats feel about Senator Mark Kelly being threatened by the Pentagon. Let's see what they say about it.
The Pentagon saying it is now investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. He is a retired U.S. Navy captain, of course. The Pentagon accusing him of, quote, serious allegations of misconduct. Joining me now, Natasha Bertrand. So, Natasha, just walk us through how we got to this point and what we know about this alleged investigation.
Well, Erica, this all started because last week, 6 Democratic lawmakers, including Senator Mark Kelly, they posted a video on X urging service members to remember that they have a duty to disobey unlawful orders. And what these lawmakers said in the video is, quote, threats to our Constitution are coming from right here at home. And they repeatedly urged both the military and the intelligence community to refuse illegal orders. And they said, quote, no one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. And they said, know that we have your back. Don't give up the ship. Now, this infuriated President Donald Trump, who repeatedly posted about it on Truth Social, calling those lawmakers seditious and treasonous and traitors. Now we are seeing that after President Trump told Fox last week that Secretary Hegseth was looking into this, the Department of Defense has now announced that it's going to be investigating Senator Mark Kelly, the only one of those veterans in that video who can be subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice at this point, because he is the only one of them that is currently retired, and that all options remain on the table as the investigation progresses, including the possibility that he is recalled to active duty military service to face a court-martial, Erica.
And so in terms of Senator Kelly, he's now responding. What is he saying?
Well, he is pretty defiant, and he does not seem deterred by this. In a statement on X that was very lengthy, detailing his very extensive military service and career, he said, quote, if this is meant to intimidate me and other members of Congress from doing our jobs and holding this administration accountable.
I'm like, bro, I mean, let's be honest. You could have did your job without, trying to pretty much look like you're on the borderline of sedition. Like I said, the video, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, he's full on guilty. But borderline, if you look at that law, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you look at the code, he's definitely borderline. What he was saying was borderline sedition. We ain't gonna say it's full on, but where he was definitely on that. He was teetering on it. He was teetering on the line.
It won't work. I've given too much to this country to be silenced by bullies who care more about their own power than protecting the Constitution. Now, it's worth noting that in the attempt to court-martial.
Here's the thing. I mean, bro, we'd all be with you. If you could just give us some examples, you could give us the order, we would all be with you.
him could run into significant obstacles.
proof,
His
of
lawyer
course.
would probably raise issues related to undue command influence, given that Secretary Hegseth and President Donald Trump have weighed in directly on this multiple times, urging these lawmakers to face some kind of consequences. So it's unclear if it's actually going to get to this point, but it's certainly a message being sent to any retired senior officer that this kind of language is not going to be tolerated by the department, and they could be subject to an investigation. Erica.
All right. We know you'll keep us posted on any other
Yeah,
topics.
because I mean, like, shoot, if you guys want to sit here and water it down, please give me another example of this happening and it just flying over. Because let's be real. I mean, nobody did this under Biden. Nobody did it under Barack Obama. I mean, when they should have done it. So, yeah. Y'all can't even name it the last unlawful order that we got that was actually brought up by like that y'all actually stopped, or that somebody sat there and some said, no, we're not doing that. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure Obama made some. I'm almost sure Biden made some. And when it comes to Trump, well, we don't know yet. Once more information comes out about those boats and how we got that information that those were narco boats, if there is information or if there were intel, until then, we don't know. And you guys just saying that we're killing innocent people in the Caribbean, you don't know that. We're going off military say that, hey, those are narco boats. And where's the military most likely getting that info from? Well, the CIA that's stationed in Venezuela, that these boats are leaving the coast, these boats are leaving off the coast of. So 9 times out of 10, we know who's on those boats.
Tasha, appreciate it. Thank you. Also joining us this hour, former Marine fighter pilot Amy McGrath, who's running as a Democrat for a U.S. Senate seat in Kentucky.
All right, man. If this guy gets in trouble, Comey gets a break. So, yes, my man James Comey, he got a break. And not because the charges were weak, is because the prosecutor wasn't appointed or something. Or what was the word? Other way, let's just say this. The prosecutor's paperwork wasn't right, so they threw out the case. And once the prosecutor's paperwork is right, or I forgot what it was. I think she had to be, well, let's just say her paperwork isn't all the way together. Once the paperwork is right, they'll just recharge this man, re-indict this man. But right now he got a break because the judge dismissed the case against Comey and Letitia James, not because the case is weak, not because the evidence is weak, but because of the prosecutor.
This is big. We have learned that the Justice Department's case against former FBI Director Jim Comey and the New York Attorney General have both been dismissed. CNN's Caitlin Polance is covering this. Caitlin, okay, what happened here? I don't know which case you want to take first.
Well, they both are being dismissed, and for essentially the same reason that Lindsay Halligan, the Eastern District of Virginia interim U.S. attorney sent there by Donald Trump, not Senate confirmed, that she doesn't have the power. What the judge here has found, this is Judge Cameron Curry.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, basically, when I mean her paperwork now, right? She's not Senate confirmed. She wasn't confirmed by the Senate to handle this case. So the judge pretty much said, yeah, you need to find a lawyer or a prosecutor that's Senate confirmed. Then you could go ahead and re-prosecute these guys. But until then, which is crazy because he could have just told her, added a pause to it and be like, look, get somebody that's Senate confirmed and we'll get right back to it. But instead, the judge just dismissed the entire case. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, that's low-key not right. But hey, I mean, the judge did what he did.
From South Carolina. She came into the district, heard arguments from both of the lawyers on these cases against Lindsay Halligan's role. They argued that she didn't have the power because she wasn't Senate confirmed, and thus these indictments are invalid. The judge is agreeing with that. Judge Curry is saying that the Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid. And because Ms. Halligan—
And let's be real, if Pam Bondi actually did this mistake, bro, Pam Bondi just needs to step down. Like, are you effing retarded, lady? Like, are you stupid? Like, are you stupid, Pam Bondi? You're really telling me you couldn't find a Senate confirmed prosecutor to go out there and handle that to avoid this situation right here? Because now she's gonna look real stupid having to find a Senate confirmed prosecutor to go ahead and run this case again, and now they're getting indicted all over again. I mean, it's absolutely stupid. If I'm almost hoping that the judge was wrong, because let's be real, if the judge is right in doing this, absolutely right, then guess what? Pam Bondi is an effing idiot.
Again, had no lawful authority to present the indictment James Comey's motion.
Oh, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
Is granted, the indictment is dismissed. Now, the judge does mention that this is without prejudice. So in legal speak, that means that it could be brought back by another prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia if they took it through the grand jury again. But everything Lindsay Halligan did at the end of September, beginning of October, and since then, this judge is saying she couldn't have done that. She didn't have the authority. She was not confirmed by Congress, by the U.S. Senate as the Eastern District of Virginia's U.S. attorney. And thus, the president went out of his bounds, and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, also overstepped her bounds in sending Lindsay Halligan into this.
Wow. So this is Pam Bondi's fault. Interim USA attorney, Eastern District of Virginia, appointed by Trump after he fired her predecessor, and Senate has not confirmed. Former personal lawyer of Trump. So she's a Trump loyalist, which is all right. That's cool and all. But why didn't Pam Bondi make sure she was Senate confirmed? Why didn't she do this first before even having her run this prosecution? Now, yeah, Pam Bondi looks like an idiot.
District to get these indictments against both Comey and James.
And can I raise a question with Comey? I know that she had made, at least the judge pointed out, a serious error when it came to the grand jury. So what we're saying now is even that mistake that everyone had been talking about, it's moot, because essentially what I'm hearing you say is they're saying she shouldn't have been in the job in the first place.
It may be moot, yes. We still are waiting to see if Judge Nachmanoff, the presiding judge over this case, what he does. He hasn't actually entered into the record yet that the cases are dismissed. We just have this other order from the judge saying that the indictment against James should be dismissed. The indictment against Comey should be dismissed. We'll see what this other judge does now with that. But this isn't about, Audie, what you are bringing up, what Lindsay Halligan may have done with the grand jury in getting.
So remember, they're not the case wasn't dismissed because the evidence was weak. The case was dismissed because the prosecutor wasn't confirmed by the Senate. So yes, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mean that the cases were fraudulent, doesn't mean that they had a lack of evidence. They're just pretty much basing this on the fact that the prosecutor wasn't confirmed by the Senate. Therefore, she's not allowed to handle this case.
The indictment of James Comey through to the magistrate judge after they had voted down one of the charges against Comey and only secured 2 charges against him. There was that big hiccup, but it isn't what's being addressed here. This is solely about, did the Department of Justice formally take the pains it needed to get someone into the position of U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. And this judge, Judge Curry, she says they did not. And so everything that interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan has done, it's invalid.
Wow.
Does this mean this is done?
Yeah. So everything she did just don't even matter no more. Not confirmed. And here's the thing. I'm like, damn, she got that far, did all this. And now, boom, now confirmed by the Senate, just throw it all away.
Can these charges come back?
Hadi, there are always appeals. This is at the district court level. And so it is very likely that whatever happens next will be kicking around in appeals for months, if not years.
Okay, thanks so much, Caitlin. I want to bring it to the panel now. Obviously, the administration.
AKA, this is actually perfect for Comey and Letitia James because they could just hold it up in appeals. And it's all Pam Bondi's fault because why didn't you find a Senate confirmed prosecutor? Like, what the hell? Why didn't you get her confirmed by the Senate? Like, I mean, but I guess there was no way to do it unless they got a Trump loyalist in there. And it is what it is. But all right, guys, let's go right back to our guy Fox and let's see what Press Secretary Leavitt got to say.
With that, we bring in White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Caroline, I spoke with Jason Crow on this program last week, and it seems like every time one of these individuals is asked what this was about, they have a different sort of rotating answer. Let me just play this from this morning on Morning Joe.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. And let's not forget to support the stream by super chatting in any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements. I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. All right, guys, let's get right back to it.
Scarborough talking about this, and we get your thoughts on the other side.
Okay, wrong answer.
Well,
I'm sorry, with all due respect, wrong answer. He has white latitude on strikes. Ask Barack Obama and drone strikes. Ask George W. Bush and drone strikes. The commander-in-chief is given, no, there's no buts to it. The commander-in-chief is given white No Supreme Court is going to put themselves in the Situation Room and make a decision for the commander-in-chief, Democratic or Republican.
He was responding to the soundbite from Melissa Slotkin there. What's the White House take on how this whole thing has evolved, and now this news that Mark Kelly could undergo investigation?
Well, we believe it's deeply unfortunate that these Democrat senators made this egregious and completely irresponsible statement. And let's be very clear, Martha, these Democrat senators knew exactly what they were doing. It's not a coincidence that all of them have military or national security experience in their background. They were leaning into that experience to try and give a wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in our United States Armed Forces, and essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief, which is illegal, by the way. Let me be very clear. Not a single order this president or administration has given to our military has ever been illegal, nor will it ever be. This administration respects and abides by the law, and these officials know it. They are trying to sow chaos and distrust, which is a very dangerous thing to do within the military's ranks. The sanctity of our military.
I mean, let's be real though. This could also cause distrust among the people when it comes to the National Guard. I mean, they already sown distrust between the people and ICE, so it seems like the National Guard might be next. Because let's be real. I mean, this could both influence the youth in the military and the people. Well, your everyday civilian. That's living in one of these cities that have the National Guard in it currently right now, like DC and Memphis.
Respects and relies on law and order and the chain of command. And that's what this administration is trying to say. And that's why the Department of War opened up this investigation against Senator Mark Kelly today.
Yeah. You have to wonder at this point if they retrospectively think this was a good idea or a bad idea, because it doesn't seem to be working the way that they wanted it to. And now they're kind of stepping all over themselves, trying to answer the question of what they were talking about in the first place. But, you make a good point that it sows, they were hoping to sort of sow this distrust. Go ahead,
they can't answer the question, Martha, because there is no answer. They can't identify illegal orders because there are no illegal orders. But they were suggesting, again, to the 1.3 million active duty service members in the military today that if you think an order is illegal, you don't have to follow it. Actually, that's against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It explicitly states, and I want to read this language precisely, that service members have a legal obligation under the U.S. UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. You can't have a soldier out on the battlefield or conduct.
That's what I'm saying. When they get it from the higher ups, it's already presumed to be lawful. So you sitting there telling them to just, doubt what the military did, doubt their command or their higher up, or doubt the legality of what their higher up is telling them or what the upper command is telling them, is insubordination. Like, I don't know how they don't see that. But I mean, hey, the Dems always try to create excuses for the wild things that they do.
A classified order, questioning whether that order is lawful or whether they should follow through. There must be a chain of command in our military, and Republicans and Democrats for decades, since the beginning of our country, have always respected that until now, when the Democrat Party has been completely overtaken by Trump derangement syndrome. And now we have these deranged statements from sitting members of Congress.
I want to just quickly get your thought on the president's latest take on how this Ukraine deal is developing. He expressed some frustration on Truth Social about Ukraine leadership, expressing zero gratitude for our efforts in Europe continuing to buy oil from Russia. That sounds like he is getting fed up with this process and wants them to agree to this deal. Caroline, what can you tell us?
Well, the president put that statement out over the weekend, and since then, there have been very productive conversations between the president's national security team and the Ukrainian delegation. In fact, yesterday, Secretary Rubio, Special Envoy Witkoff were in Geneva, and they were able to thoroughly go through this 28-point peace plan that the United States offered with input from both the Russian side and the Ukrainian side, and they were really able to fine-tune the points. And so now there are just a couple points of disagreement that our teams continue to work through. So the president remains hopeful and optimistic that a deal can be struck. And I think he deserves a great amount of credit for the extensive amount of time and energy he has put into solving this war. He wants to see the killing end. He wants this war to end. And his frustration grows out of the frustration of the American people.
I mean, shoot, a lot of people want this war to end, except for the guys with TDS or those who actually thought that Russia was like a paper tiger or something. For some reason, they don't want the war to end. They want Ukrainians to keep throwing their lives away, and they don't care because it's not theirs. And it's just, F Russia. I mean, and here's the thing, they're only like this because it's not their lives, it's not their sons going out there. It's like the most cowardice thing you could really do is sit there and push for other people to go out and fight a war that you wouldn't fight yourself.
President Trump stopped the funding of this war, but the United States is still sending or selling a big amount of weapons to NATO. We cannot do that forever. And the president wants this war to end. He is a peacetime president. That's what he's pursuing. And today he remains optimistic and hopeful. And I know our teams are working around the clock to try to get this deal to an end.
Yeah, obviously everybody watching
I mean, bro, Dallas, I'm gonna be real with you. I respect your military work, but you kind of sound stupid, bro. She just sat there and read military code. So at a certain point, now I gotta sit there and doubt your military service because she sat there and read military code and she said it's presumed lawful. Sorry, but you just can't sit there and be like, oh, I don't know if I need to follow. What if you need to follow this order right now? That's the purpose of being a soldier, low key. And one of the things you got to do as a soldier is follow orders now. You don't know what the time lapses on that is. You don't know, you might not have 5 minutes to sit around and ponder about an unlawful order. And as a military guy, I would think you would know that. And I mean, you're talking to somebody who's not in the military, but I'm just thinking just off the common sense of it. And there's certain times in the military where you don't really got that much time to sit there and ponder about an unlawful order. So what are you talking about, brother?
Move of this and hoping that there can be a resolution to put the war to an end. Very quickly before I let you go, James Comey responding to a federal judge saying that the charges against him and against Letitia James will be dropped. Obviously, there's a government appeal process that can kick in.
Yell at Pam Bondi. Yell at Pam Bondi right now because it is literally her fault. Actually, but we do need also get into Ukraine as well. But let's go over this again.
Let's play this and get your reaction, Caroline.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence.
No, it was based on, well, at least Letitia's was based on almighty facts. I mean, Letitia James, there was no workaround around that. I always said James Comey, he got at least some plausible deniability. But Letitia James, bro, she was caught. It's all on paper. It's all documented. She committed mortgage fraud. It is what it is. So this was a blessing for her. James Comey, he actually has something to fight on. But not Letitia James, though. She was kind of screwed.
And a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking.
What's White House response to that? And what can we expect will happen next, Caroline?
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this. And
What? She was legally appointed. So then what's all this beef about? You're saying that they're saying that she was never Senate appointed. Now, I would hope that, all right, so, but who was she appointed by then? Because the judge is saying not the Senate, and it's got to be the Senate. So is Caroline Leavitt saying that she was approved by the Senate, and the judge just didn't look that up? I don't know, misread her file. What is she saying here? Actually, I'm about to look this up.
Very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
Yeah,
all right, we'll be watching. We just showed a small piece of it. It goes on and on. Caroline, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Happy
Martha.
Thanksgiving. Good.
But all right, now let's get over to the Kremlin. European counterproposal to the U.S. plan is unconstructive. I mean, I don't even know why Europe even try to have a say-so. Like, why does Europe even have a say-so? Why are they giving counter proposals when they're not the ones who want to put boots on the ground over it? And it was crying about our support over it. And they're the ones crying the hardest, going like, Russia's going to take us next. Well, guess what? in the Ukrainian peace plan, it assures the safety of Europe. And now these guys want to come out with a proposal as if Ukraine has like some type of leverage in the war. Okay.
Revised proposal.
Whoop.
The Kyiv delegation taking part in talks in Geneva with the U.S. over the weekend isn't even home yet. But already, Russia is rejecting the European counterproposal to Donald Trump's 28-point peace plan to end the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, top EU leaders, meantime, are voicing optimism blended with caution about the newly revised proposal after the first draft was seen as highly favorable to Russia.
EU leaders meeting in Angola on the sidelines of a summit with the African Union say they are committed to providing Ukraine with diplomatic, military, and economic support. Earlier, CNN spoke to the European Union's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, who made reference to the White House plan that, among other things, called for Ukraine to cede territory under its control.
If Russia could conquer Ukraine, they would have already done so. So to offer them something that they even haven't conquered militarily is, offering something on top of what they already have, or what they have achieved on the battlefield. We shouldn't fall into the traps to discuss all what Ukraine should give away, but bring the discussion back to the territory what Russia should concede, because they have.
Then make Russia conceded. I mean, y'all are forgetting how war works. Russia got the land because they whooped ass for it, because they pushed the Ukrainian army back. Ukrainian army cannot push Russia back. So you guys are just going to Russia and going like, well, we know we can't whoop your ass over, but can you please give the land back? Are y'all for all this demonization of Russia, you guys sure are trying to make them out to be like some nice guys right now. What?
Have started this war and they are doing the killing.
But no shit. That does, I mean, guess what? So if you want that land back, you better do some killing yourself. I'm not trying to sound brutal about this, but if you can't whoop their ass backwards, then you kind of got to shut the F up and let them have it. And if you are not wanting to put your boots on the ground over it, then shut the hell up about it. Don't sit there and tell Russia, oh, just give up land because we said so. Really? How delusional is that? And what, if you don't get that, then you're going to be in the way of it? So pretty much you're just going to allow a whole bunch of Ukrainians just to keep on dying because Putin don't want to give up land that you guys can't win back. That's your fault.
The U.S. president hinted at big progress in the Geneva talks on a post on social media, saying that something good may just be happening in Geneva.
Meanwhile, the war continues. Russia attacked energy facilities across Ukraine overnight, leaving tens of thousands.
Yeah, and they're still striking Ukraine. They're trying to make it worse so Ukraine collapses or falls in on itself, and they fold and they go ahead and accept the peace deal. This is what Putin's doing. He's adding maximum pressure. He's seen the peace plan. He know how Zelensky think, and he's like, F it, we can turn up the heat right now and kind of, persuade them even more. And that's what he's doing. And it's effed up to see it, but it'd probably be better if Zelensky just give it up at this point. Because if you read the 20.8 peace plan, it actually helps out the Ukrainian people, and it gives Putin everything he wants, sadly. But it helps out the Ukrainian people and stops the war. Like, come on now. Is that not what we want?
Of homes without,
well, except for the Russia getting everything they want part.
Power. Russia has been regularly striking Ukraine's energy grid, leaving the country without heat and power during the cold months.
Let's bring in CNN State Department reporter Jennifer Hansler. Jennifer, how much optimism is there that this peace plan, obviously it's being revised, started off as this 28-point peace plan that's highly favorable to Russia, even with revisions? How much optimism is there that this potentially could lead to an end in hostilities, even a temporary one?
Well, we're hearing a remarkable amount of optimism coming out of Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who led that U.S. delegation in Geneva yesterday. He came out and spoke to the press twice during the course of those meetings in Switzerland. The first time he said that it had been the best meeting, in his opinion, since the start of the discussions at the beginning of this administration with Ukraine on this matter. After those meetings wrapped up, he said there had been a tremendous amount of progress. However, he did stress that there is still work to be done. He would not go into details about what gaps remain, but he said that they would continue these intensive discussions. Listen to how he described this ongoing, evolving peace plan.
there were items that we were discussing as part of the original 28, or it evolved. This is a living, breathing document. Every day with input, it changes. I can tell you that the items that remain open are not insurmountable. We just need more time than what we have today. I honestly believe we'll get there.
Now, there
I'll
are
be real with you. Even, I mean, the way Rubio looked during that whole engagement, you can tell he was uncomfortable with the plan, but he had no choice. And he knew that he was going to go out there and people were going to bastardize it. People were going to be incredibly upset, but he had no choice. I mean, what can you do? Hey, look, if Rubio was actually able to get something for Ukraine, he'd be out there chipper, happy. You would see a little bit of glow in the man's face. This man looks dull as hell, knowing that he got to sit out there and tell the world that, well, I'm gonna be real with you guys. All right, we sold y'all propaganda. We sold y'all the propaganda that Ukraine could actually win in. Well, here we are with a Ukrainian peace plan that's overly weighted in Russia's favor. Why? Well, because Russia was actually winning the war the entire time.
indications, though, that there have been changes from that controversial 28-point plan. We saw a joint statement put out last night between Ukraine and the U.S. Following those discussions, they said that there had been an updated and refined peace framework. Of course, that 28-point plan that came out.
Yep. So in the part of the 28-point plan is that, yes, Russia will get de facto. Russia would pretty much get the Lutnik, the Kherson, and the Donbass region. So Donetsk region and Zaporozhye. Now, this is going to be split. They're not going to get all of Zaporozhye, but they are going to keep this line as it is. So this little part of that region will remain Ukraine, but all this right here will be Russian. And they will split the power generation of the nuclear power plant in this region as well.
The public last week was widely criticized by European allies, by members of
as stated in the peace plan.
Congress, because of the concessions that it was calling for Ukraine to make. Among those were significant territorial concessions, a limitation on Ukraine's military size, a de facto U.S. recognition of parts of Ukraine that had been seized by Russia, which of course would be a complete 180 from longstanding U.S. policy not to recognize territory that was seized militarily. So that came under a lot of criticism and a lot of concern among Kyiv and the European capitals about what that would mean moving forward. We have seen now some steps back to try to ease that up. But of course, these conversations are ongoing, and there is the Russia factor of it. They also have to agree to this. This is something that Rubio also acknowledged. This is going to come down to the leaders of the U.S., of Ukraine, and of Russia. Of course, Moscow is indicating they are not going to also give up any concessions, especially when the 28-point plan was so favorable to them to begin with. So we're going to see what happens here. I should note, guys, also, President Trump last week had indicated he was giving Ukraine until Thursday to accept any sort of plan. Rubio yesterday suggested that timeline could shift here. Guys?
I mean, shoot, he just bombed them today, so I don't know about that. It seems like he's trying to speed up that timeline. He's Putin trying to see if he can get Zelensky to quit today, tonight, at this very second. So, yeah, guys. Now, if you break down this peace plan, it is broken down into like 4 or 5 parts. And one of the main contentions is that, yes, land concessions, because that 10 to 20% about 20% of Ukraine that Russia took is de facto Russia. Now, this is what the entire world is getting mad at. And like I said, I'm going to stay to this point. What are y'all going to do about it? Because we're not going to put boots on the grounds for Ukraine. I mean, we'll send money. And even that was a stupid idea now that we're figuring it out. Now that, we're here, we figured out that was a dumbass idea. So we're definitely not going to put boots on the ground over Ukraine. And is any other countries going to step up to fight Russia for Ukraine? Oh, no, nobody? Not at all? Okay, then. Sit your ass down and just let things work out and stop complaining, because at least people's lives are going to stop being taken on a daily basis if the peace plan is signed, of course.
All right, Jennifer Hansler, live for us there. Thank you so much. All right, Russian forces are taking advantage of gaps in Kyiv's defenses to edge forward in a number of key arenas, including Zaporizhzhia and Pokrovsk. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that Russia has concentrated more than 150,000 troops in the eastern city of Pokrovsk alone in an attempt to finally take control of it after fighting for months.
CNN military analyst and retired air.
And like I said, so they're going to take all of the Donbass region, all of the Lugansk region, and the Zaporozhye region, or the Zapor, I don't know how the hell they pronounce that. We're going to call it the Zaporozhye region just because, yeah, they're going to actually split that region to where it's at. Like right where the territory's at, they're just going to split it right there.
Air Force Colonel Cedric Layton joins us now. So, Cedric, it has been a bit of political whiplash, I would say, and geopolitical whiplash on the global stage over the last few days. The president,
Man, on us, I don't know how there's like whiplash on the U.S. though. I'm like, what did we do? You're acting like we went in there and fought the war and lost it for Ukraine. No, they wanted to get into NATO. Putin told them no. They wanted to defy that, man, because they felt like, I guess, they could whoop his ass. And then guess what? They effed around and found out. Now here we are down the line, and these guys are losing more territory. I mean, we kind of like, this is crazy because it's like the biggest I told you so moment for me. I've been saying this literally since the beginning that Ukraine didn't have a chance, and everybody's deluding themselves as if they do. And this should be proof right here that Ukraine never stood a chance, or else this deal wouldn't be overly one-sided. Like, I don't even know what else could wake you up to the fact that these guys are actually losing. I don't know why y'all not more outraged that you were being lied to, that these guys are winning. But you still want to believe in the lie, I guess. It is what it is with you guys.
Just over the weekend, chastising Ukraine once again for what he says is not being grateful and thankful enough to the United States.
Okay, let's make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get those likes up by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
It's giving them an ultimatum until Thursday, and now you have Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio coming in and saying, no, there's going to be a revised plan, and the talks have been productive, and they're moving on from that original 28-point plan that was highly favorable to Russia. How is Russia viewing all of this right now? Because there are clearly no concessions yet that have been made public that Russia would have to make in order to bring a ceasefire about. And as we heard from Jennifer,
what concessions Russia would have to make? Like, why would they have to make concessions when they're winning? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like almost nonsense trying to ask Russia to make any concessions. It's nonsense. Because they're winning. They're overwhelming force. It's like literally nonsense to sit there and say, well, Russia needs to give up land. Like, bro, okay, well, when you can get them to do that, let me know.
This is going to require Russian sign off as well.
Yeah, for sure, Brianna. And I think what Russia is looking at is, they're going to watch and see how not only the U.S. handles this, but how Ukraine responds and how the Europeans respond. They've already rejected it, it seems at least, the European.
Shout out to my man Parabolic Curvature. He says, 2 months later, my deal for a 1v1 with a Russian for all the marbles is still on the table. Maybe I get elected as Ukrainian president after I win. Hey, look, bro, it's better you than him. It's better you than Zelensky, believe it or not, because this is ridiculous. Like the fact that, like I said, 2 months later, and here we are with you, like literally Ukraine holding nothing at all, no cards, and this Putin over here popping vodka bottles in Moscow right now. They're literally having a party in Moscow. If you don't think Putin's holding a party over this, you're wrong. Like, there's a huge celebration going on right now. So I can't understand why everybody's still like, honestly, I can't understand why they're mad at the U.S. Like, they're acting like we went to war when we didn't. If anything, you guys should be mad at NATO. How come NATO catches no flack for this when they're the ones that try to bring in Ukraine at Putin's disgust or at Putin's dissent? They wanted to go against Putin and they effed around and find out. Why is there no blame to NATO? Why is it on us? I remember when somebody in the chat going like, we should go over there and die for Ukraine. I'm just like, why we gotta die? Why it gotta be us?
Proposal. They may not have a full understanding of it yet, but it seems like they're rejecting it already. So what you're seeing, I think, is Russia just saying, let's see what they're going to do here, and we will just draw things out, because Russia thinks that it can actually win this militarily. That may not actually be true, but they're looking at this from the standpoint of the successes that they've achieved around Pokrovsk, the fact that there are Russian incursions in Zaporizhzhia, as Zane mentioned. And so these are the kinds of things that will give them a bit of confidence. They think they can weather this.
I mean, see, it's like, Bro, behavior bender, bro. Come on now. I understand that this hurt your feelings a little bit, or that not even say hurt your feelings, but you are in disgust over this. But let's be reasonable, brother. Let's be reasonable. They're like, it doesn't matter. They're still losing their land. If they sign this peace deal, they got to cut their military by 600,000. They lose land. Russia gets back into the global economy. Does it even matter that they held them off this long at that point? They held them off for 4 years, and what they get out of it, besides thousands of dead bodies, thousands of dead soldiers, what they get out of it? Tell me. Exactly.
Storm. They think that they can, in essence, split the U.S. from Ukraine and actually split the Europeans off as well. So that's really what they're doing here. They're in essence trying to adopt a strategy of divide and conquer on the diplomatic field, along with what they're doing on the military campaign aspect of this.
All right, and we know that
There is
President
that.
Zelensky has been very reluctant.
Okay, well, there is that. There is that, though. Billions of US dollars. There is that.
To lower the conscription age because of concerns that it would have on demographics already strained in the country, as well as the economy overall, which leads to one of the demands in this 28-point plan in the original document, that Ukraine would cut its military force to about 600,000. Many Ukrainians view this as not only a non-starter, but also an example of Russia not being serious about a ceasefire, because why on earth would they demand that?
Because they want to make sure that Ukraine does not have the ability to attack them. That's what it says. I mean, duh. And here's the thing. I mean, didn't you expect this to come when they're the losing army? They're going to have to, I mean, let's be real. The winning army usually asks that side to cut their military force. I mean, we did it to Japan. I mean, we didn't do it as vicious. I mean, we did Japan dirty. We said you can't have not no army. I mean, these guys still get an army, just 600K. So, you know, they can never oppose Russia again. Like, that's what it's pretty much all about, to be quite honest. So it's not, though, him wanting their army to be cut is not saying that, oh, Putin's going to attack again. Because if you actually read the peace deal, you understand that if Putin attacks them again, not only will the land that is now de facto Russia be unrecognized, but all sanctions will be brought upon Russia again. You think Russia want to go through that? You think Russia want to keep going through these sanctions? No, they want to get welcomed back into the global economy. I think one of the main things that actually brought Russia to the table is, you know what, you say you're going to let us into the global economy. Ukraine will never become a part of NATO. All right. We won't attack them again. Just cut their military down by half. I mean, hey, trust me, it's not. So them cutting down the military is not pretty much saying that, oh, we're going to attack them again. I mean, let's be real. They could just do that now and wipe out their entire military if that's the case. So no. Like the demand to cut Ukraine's military does not mean that Putin's setting up to attack them again.
The Ukraine's military be cut so drastically if there weren't plans sometime in the future to once again reinvade.
Yeah, it's clear that the Russians want to reinvade, and they haven't abandoned that particular plan. It's part of what amounts to their national strategy, and President Putin's goals. He is very clear about these things, and on this particular aspect, we should believe him. It is one of those areas where it kind of harkens back to what happened to Germany after World War I, when you had the Versailles Treaty. Except the big difference is that Germany was an aggressor nation in World War I. Ukraine here is not the aggressor nation. In fact, it is the victim of aggression. And to have the victim give up a large portion of its forces, a large portion of the manpower of its forces, really puts them on the back foot. At least the attempt would be to put them on the back foot. And that it would really mean that what they want to do is.
Oh God, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way. But let's not forget to double tap that screen. You have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and, of course, engage with it. It's a great way to keep the stream going longer. So shout out to my guy, Parabolic Curvature, for starting us off. But all right, now let's get into the next video. Zelensky. Let's hear from Zelensky and let's see what he has to say, because it's going to sound real sad and pathetic, sadly.
We do have breaking news out of Ukraine. The country's Air Force says that Russia is launching a ballistic missile attack tonight on Kyiv. This follows a drone strike on Kharkiv yesterday. Even so, both the U.S. and Ukraine say progress is being made on a plan to end the war. President Trump says that something good may be happening following intensive talks in Geneva over the weekend between U.S. and Ukrainian officials. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called meetings productive and meaningful, and Ukrainian President Zelensky is now striking a more optimistic tone.
Дипломатія активізована. Це добре.
Diplomacy has been activated, which is good, very good. We expect that the results will be the right steps. The first priority is reliable peace, guaranteed security, respect for our people, respect for everyone who gave their lives defending Ukraine from Russian aggression.
Negotiators are working off the 28-point ceasefire plan that President Trump presented last week, which calls for Ukraine to give up territory, reduce the size of its military, and promise not to join NATO, demands that Russia has made all along. That plan is now being modified, but Vladimir Putin may nix any agreement, and President Trump's initial demand that Ukraine agree to a plan by this Thursday now appears flexible. So there is a lot in flux and much to discuss with Brett McGurk, CNN global affairs analyst who has served in senior positions under the last 4 presidents, including President Trump. Brett, always great to see you. Look, you've been on the inside, now from the outside. Can you tell where things are headed? Is this moving away from that very pro-Russia 28-point document?
Yeah, John, I spent some time at that Intercontinental Hotel in Geneva where a lot of deals, many times in secret, are done. I was struck by the room there. You had about 10 people on each side. It's kind of hard to get things done with that group. But look, it looks like there was some progress made. You know, over the weekend, John, this is what makes foreign policy both so interesting and so complicated. It's not just the president. He has primary authority in foreign affairs, but there are other actors, particularly here. And if you even go through that 28-point plan that came out last week, there's a role, John, for Congress because it calls for lifting sanctions on Russia. Those are congressionally mandated sanctions. You can't do that without Congress. There's a role for Europe. It talks about using frozen funds that are in Europe. Europe has a say in that. There's a role for NATO.
Oh, yeah. Europe has to use about $100 billion of frozen Russian funds to help rebuild Ukraine. So, you know, there's a plus for Ukraine. You know, today they're going to rebuild it. Like, they're going to revitalize it. It's all good, man. Everybody's going to put in on rebuilding Ukraine. Even Russia. I mean, you know, not intentionally, but by frozen assets that were released to Ukraine.
NATO has a say, and of course, Ukraine has a say. So what you saw over the weekend was all these other actors get involved and say, hey, wait a minute, we need some changes to this plan. And then you had the U.S. side meet with the Ukrainians, and from what we are hearing, the plan is now significantly revised. Whether this can stop this horrific war that we all want stopped, that remains to be seen. And you can see again, John, Russia tonight launching another missile and drone attack all across Ukraine, which looks to be ongoing.
You talk about people coming from different places in this not being a binary discussion. What about people coming from different places, even within the U.S. administration? Does it feel to you, like many are writing, that Secretary of State Rubio may have been in a fundamentally different place than Steve Witkoff was, who was playing point on this 28-point plan?
You know, it seems like that, which is not totally abnormal when you have a complicated negotiation like this. But I was struck by one of the readouts from the U.S. side yesterday. Said the first part of the day was focused on coordination.
But all right, now we didn't spend enough time on Ukraine, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story. Now, White House, well, guess what, guys? The White House is go ahead proposing a Trump's health care plan. Well, we'll see where this goes. Yes, Trump proposal framework. Yes, no more $0 premiums and new income limit. Trump reveals new healthcare proposal as ACA premiums set to soar. And yes, even with the Obamacare healthcare subsidies, healthcare premiums will still go by 18-30%. Without them, they're going to double and triple. So trust me, I know you'd rather an 18% increase than seeing a double and triple in your healthcare premium. I know, me too. All right, now let's get into it.
We're learning President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. And at this point, we're still waiting to know exactly what's in it. But we're told it could include a temporary extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which are due to expire at the end of the year. They were at the center of the government shutdown. However, the subsidies could come with some fresh guardrails that could include new income limits and a requirement that everyone pay some form of a premium. Now, we should note that if the subsidies do expire, millions of Americans are expected to see their premiums more than double next year. Zach is joining us now. He's a professor of health policy at Yale University. Zach, thanks for being here. As I noted, we are very much still waiting for specifics here. I'm sorry, this has actually been, sorry, Zach, we're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new healthcare proposal. It was expected to be unveiled today. We'll learn more, hopefully, about that in the coming moments. But again, this is postponed, but we can talk about the ideas here. Zach, we just outlined some of the things that could be in there. It could also likely include an option for some people who choose these lower tier plans to receive some federal aid as well to help pay for that plan. So just what are your thoughts initially in some of these ideas?
Oh, guys, well, shoot, quick commercial break. I'll be right back. I'll have to quickly go ahead and play this little clip real quick.
The Trump administration is excluding nursing from professional degrees. This is a great idea to lower the cost of tuition. We are in a historic nationwide nurse shortage. Let's explain what the Trump administration is doing here to make this worse. Gladly. So first off, it's important to know we're talking about only graduate level federal student loans. And prior to the big beautiful bill, it was pretty easy for any student who wants to pursue a master's program to get basically unlimited federal student loans. But the big beautiful bill made a change that capped the amount one can get for a loan. It made two separate categories. One, what they call professional degree loans, which have caps of $50K a year and $200K in a lifetime, and graduate degree loans, which have caps at $20K a year and $100K in a lifetime. Yeah, and the bill allows the Department of Education to decide which degrees are considered professional and which are merely graduate, and they just decided that nurses are merely graduate, not professional, and therefore will not have access to the high loan limits. Shouldn't we be incentivizing more nurses, not less? Let's establish some facts first. 80% of the nursing workforce does not have a graduate degree, so they won't be affected by this, and the majority of those getting a graduate degree will also not be affected by this because their cost is already less than that $100K in their lifetime. The Department of Education estimates only about 5% of current nursing programs will be affected. Well, the master programs that will be affected are some of the most important ones: the Doctor of Nursing Practice degrees and the Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist programs. And these nurse anesthetists are crucial, specifically in rural hospitals who don't employ a lot of anesthesiologists, so therefore these nurse anesthetists are necessary for surgeries. Why are we bottlenecking these degrees when they're crucial for America? Are they not professional enough? And here's the very point. The goal of this is to lower tuition costs. Ever since Congress removed caps on graduate loans, the cost of tuition has skyrocketed, burdening students with boatloads of debt. These new limits will naturally lead to tuition prices coming down as schools need the students, and once they realize the government isn't just blindly subsidizing every single increase they make, they will be forced to lower costs. We are already seeing this at law schools throughout the country. Well, removing these caps have allowed more students to attend higher education. A more educated society is a good one, and what I just don't understand is the minimization of nurses throughout our country. They are the backbone of our healthcare system. They kept us afloat during COVID, and now there's a nationwide shortage. Why are lawyers and dentists considered professional, but nurse practitioners who often play the role of doctors are not? Look, this classification was not based on worth to society. It was partly based on a 1965 Department of Education professional definition that didn't list nursing. Okay, that definition just provided examples based on that time. It didn't create a criteria. Plus, nurse practitioners weren't really a thing until the 1970s. Well, that's why the Department of Education made a three-pronged, unbiased list for programs to be professional. It must be all the following: mandatory for licensure, tied to one national exam, and built on a uniform nationwide curriculum. Nursing just didn't match that. Well, now according to all the nurse associations and a Republican nurse practitioner in Congress, this will exacerbate the nursing shortage even more. Again, it only affects 5% of nurses, and the goal is to do the opposite by lowering tuition costs. Well, you may end up raising them by forcing wannabe nurses to take out private predatory loans. Let's see what happens. Great.
And all right, we are back. All right, now let's get right back into it, guys.
Policy at Yale University. Zach, thanks for being here. As I noted, we are very much still waiting for specifics here. I'm sorry, this has actually been, sorry, Zach, we're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new healthcare proposal. It was expected to be unveiled today. We'll learn more, hopefully, about that.
I like how Trump is literally doing what I suggested the Republicans do like a month ago. Look, just come out with a health care plan, like just lay it out for us. And, you know, like I said, CNN is going to bastardize it, and Fox News is going to hold it to the highest of the mountain as if they got the 10 Commandments. And we'll take it from there. And then we'll let the people dissect it and see if we like it. Like, I like what they're doing with that. I mean, it sucks that they postponed it, so hopefully it's going to come out sometime this week. But hey, at least they're trying to come out with some type of healthcare plan that, well, could possibly replace Obamacare.
The coming moments. But again, this is postponed, but we can talk about the ideas here. Zach, we just outlined some of the things that could be in there. It could also likely include an option for some people who choose these lower tier plans to receive some federal aid as well to help pay for that plan. So just what are your thoughts initially in some of these ideas?
Yeah, I was just happy that President Trump entered the chat, right? Healthcare costs are crushing folks who are out there across the country. If we don't see these subsidies come into play, what we're going to be seeing is a couple who's 60 years old, earning $80,000 a year, paying $30,000 for their insurance premiums. So I'm just glad we're starting to talk about it. I think it's pretty concerning that we're going to see this pushed again and again. I think it shows that, frankly, we haven't been engaging with this on a really serious basis. Like, what we haven't been talking about is why are costs in this country so high and what we can do about them.
Why are they so high?
It's the prices. And I think that's been this sort of real backdrop to the subsidy debate. What we've really been talking about is how you subsidize health insurance. It's like saying, if a hamburger was $300, how do we subsidize it? What we're not talking about is why the hamburger is $300 in the first place.
Damn.
So we've really never had bipartisan, serious conversations about the cost of healthcare. And one of the challenges is another way to talk about healthcare spending is to say it's $1 of somebody's income that's out there. And we're not good at doing government interventions, introducing policies that make a whole lot of folks better, but might take away income from other folks who are out there in the country.
Dang. So, all right. Affordable Health Care Act in 2025, record 24 million people signed up this year. And this came out that they say they found about 3 to 5 million people that were signed up for Obamacare that didn't know they had Obamacare, which is absolutely insane. More than 90% receive premium assistance, of course, and low-income enrollees could select zero premium options. All right.
And so in terms of trying to actually put into place policies that
Subsidized
would
by
make
others.
things better for people out there, Americans, that would to drive down their cost, what might some of those be?
So we need more competition in healthcare. One of the things that's happening nationwide is hospitals buying up other hospitals, and that's raising the price of care. We see hospitals buying up physicians. It's raising the price of care. We see a lot of stuff happening with pharmacy benefits managers. It doesn't bring benefits to patients, but it makes care more expensive. Those are the types of conversations we need to have. We need to be subsidizing insurance. I think that's going to get folks coverage. It's going to allow us to have those bigger conversations about healthcare spending. But we really need to be talking about the root causes of rising costs right now.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, as someone who studies this whole system, that first you essentially have to continue to subsidize because the price is what it is at this point, and it's too high for many Americans out there. And then after you've done that, it's too high.
All right, so here it is. What we know so far, temporary extension of the subsidies, because, let's be real, we do kind of need the subsidies until we can come up with something better. So there you go. Restore income cap previously at 400% of federal poverty level. All right. And then we got monthly premium for all enrollees. So there will be no more zero premiums, and a health saving account for lower tier plans. Okay. And proposal not final, timing / content could change. Of course. Now, I'm pretty sure they're going to probably go by the healthcare plan that they put out in 2019. So if you want to know more about that, look up the Republican Study Committee. I'm going to have to make sure I look it up again. I'll bring it up for you guys, the file. But yes, the Speaker Mike Johnson actually posted this on his on his website, and also the American Association of Hospitals also did the same thing. So yeah, there's been people who've already reviewed the Republican healthcare plan, and they've already wrote their reviews on it. So you can go ahead and look that up and see if you agree or you disagree.
For many Americans out there. And then after you've done that, then you need to really get in there if you're Congress and the president and actually make some real changes to the system to include more competition and ways to bring down the prices.
That's exactly right, Jessica. And I think that's why folks are so frustrated out there. I think folks know the price of healthcare is too high.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about with the subsidies is the insurance for 20 million people. There are 150 million people out there who get health insurance from their employer, and they're feeling all sorts of trouble. And in a sense, what we want to say is, look, let's have these bipartisan conversations. Let's talk about the cost of healthcare. Let's make sure that people aren't priced out of health insurance, and see if we can get us on a glide path that's more sustainable going forward. So I think it's great that President Trump leaned in. It's a little worrying that the Republican Congress pushed back so much that they basically delayed this proposal. They're just kicking the can down the road one more time.
Yeah. And there's also this idea that the president's talked about several several times publicly, unclear if it would be a piece of this, but where he essentially says, let's give people federal income to help them purchase some of this insurance or give them money, some of these lower tier plans. But essentially, oftentimes people who get those lower tier plans are the really healthy individuals that maybe don't need as much insurance or don't think they need as much insurance. What's kind of the balance of those healthier people being in the pool?
I mean, I'll tell you this right now. We do need to start making healthcare more affordable, but we do also need to start making people healthier as well. I mean, that's also one of the things about healthcare is that, yeah, the healthy people are going to end up paying for the unhealthy people. It's not really going to be such a fair system. And then let's be real. I don't think we should have a healthcare system that, well, doesn't incentivize you to get more healthier or to exercise, eat better. I mean, honestly, I remember somebody was saying that, yo, if you're unhealthy, you should have to pay higher premiums. And I mean, that should teach you. But hey, maybe that's just me being a bit heartless towards fat people. I'm sorry. But all right, now let's see what our man Scott Besson's got to say, because they were grilling him. Says inflation has nothing to do with tariffs as U.S. rolls them back. All right, let's get right into it.
And joining me now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary Bessent, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Chris, good to be with you today.
It's great to have you here in person. Thank you for being here. I want to start right there on the discussion of affordability. You just heard Vice President J.D. Vance ask people to have, quote, a little bit of patience with the administration. Let me ask you, Mr. Secretary, how long do Americans need to be patient? How long do they have to wait for the cost of living to come down?
Well, Kristen, in March of 2024, I wrote a piece and I talked about the 3 I's that were killing Americans: immigration, interest rates, and inflation. President's closed the border and the mass immigration is gone. And that was putting, a lot of the immigration was putting upward pressure on housing, downward pressure on wages. Interest rates are down. And now we are starting to see the affordability. The prices get better. We had a very big October for home sales. Energy prices, gasoline is down. We saw, we believe healthcare is going to come down. We will see an announcement this coming week on that. And so across the board, prices are starting to come down. We're having Thanksgiving week. This will be the lowest cost for a Thanksgiving dinner in 4 years. Turkey prices are down 16%.
And yet some prices are going up. Of course, we have seen prices increasing on staples like coffee, bananas, bacon. Inflation has gone up. It's at 3% now, up from 2% in April when the tariffs were imposed.
No. They weren't. So inflation hasn't gone up. And Kristen, the one thing that we're not going to do is do what the Biden administration did and tell the American people they don't know how they feel. They are traumatized, and over the Biden inflation, we have slowed inflation, and we are working very hard to bring it down.
Which is true. I mean, they have slowed inflation. I mean, the problem is the Biden administration is the reason inflation got out of hand, and that's just something the Dems will never be honest about. So don't expect them to tell you the truth about that. They'll just sit there and pretend like Biden's inflation is still not something that we're dealing with today. Like, they're going to sit there and pretend like we weren't at 4 or 5% inflation just last year under Biden. They're going to sit there and pretend like, oh, yeah, all that just went away and everything that's happening today is Trump's fault. Well, I got something to show you. Let me show you something, because, you know, I ran the numbers. I said, you know what? If mainstream media can do it, of course I can do it too. And guess what I did it with? I did it with good old Chat GPT and AI. Pulled all the information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and all that and CPI indexes. And I got this right here. This cool little graph. I mean, like, bro, look at this. Now, if you guys are on the full screen, hey, if you guys are on the horizontal, you can really see it. But here it is. Cumulative consumer price index price increase by category, Trump versus Biden. Now we're talking about Trump's first term from 2017 to 2021 to Biden 2021, 2025. Now we're talking about a price increase of 20% overall. Trump, he had a price increase of about 7% or so. This man had 21% or more in overall consumer price index growth. Well, in prices. Now, How much the groceries go up? Food at home, they went up about 22, 23%. Housing and shelter, how much did that go up under Biden? And you think these price increases just went away? No, we still dealing with these price increases today. Actually, what makes it worse is that the current inflation rate, due to the fact that it hasn't been stabilized yet, is adding on top of it by 0.3% about every month and a quarter to the consumer price index. If you look, it has went up about 0.2, 0.3 month over month. But we all want to sit and pretend like, I don't know, this had nothing to do with it. Like, come on now, let's not be intellectually dishonest here. But I mean, hey, shout out ChatGPT. I mean, you gotta love ChatGPT. But all right, guys, let's get back to my man Besson.
I can tell you that the Council on Economic Advisors has a study. You know, the best way to bring your inflation rate down, move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher, and that is because they don't deregulate, they keep prices up, energy is higher.
Just according to the consumer prices, inflation was at 2.3% back in April. In September, 3%. But let me ask you about tariffs, because there's this big announcement on tariffs. Since you were last on this program, the administration announced it was rolling back tariffs on more than 200 food products. You have said recently that you think tariffs help consumers. If tariffs help consumers, why is the administration rolling them back?
Well, if you actually knew just a little bit of economics, you could honestly just say, well, since they're rolling back the tariffs, and this doesn't mean that it goes straight to the consumer still, actually this means that, well, this could actually employ these guys to buy more product, thus having more supply, thus lowering their costs. I mean, I remember one of the main points was, well, they're limiting how much they could buy so they don't have to pass it down. I mean, they're limiting their supplies and they're taking it to the chin, or like the Dem said, or they're just going to limit their supply and pass it to the consumer. Great. Use that same logic. If there's less tariffs to pay, that means they could buy more product that's adding more supply, thus lowering their prices.
First of all, Kristen, if you look at the data, that imported goods, the inflation has actually been flat. Inflation.
Yeah, but you tell that to a Dem and they're going to hit you with this.
No, it was a huge movie. It was the lead. No.
Almost every time.
Is up because of the service economy and services. So that has nothing to do with tariffs. And many of the food items where the inflation.
Oh, God, let's not forget to support the stream so we can keep the stream going, guys. Appreciate the support, but let's make sure to support so we can keep this stream going.
Is coming down. The USTR has been working very hard on trade deals, and the trade deals that have been in the works for 6 or 8 months coincide with many Latin American, Central American countries where the food stuff you just named come from.
Well, and banana prices are up almost 7%. Coffee prices up nearly 19%.
Oh, yeah, we know.
The fact that you're rolling back tariffs in admission that ultimately they do drive up prices for consumers?
I would say no. If I was Scott Besson, I'd have just told her no, but I could say that us rolling back tariffs could employ these guys, these importers, to increase their supply, just thus driving down prices. I mean, no, that could always happen as well.
Kristen, how much does your arm weigh?
That I do not know.
Exactly. But you know how much you weigh. You get on the scale every morning. Inflation is a composite number, and we look at everything. So we try to push down the things we can control. And as I said, that we are working on the energy prices are down, and everything flows from that. And I think we're going to see these other prices come down. And again, many of these goods were part of trade deals with countries that have been in the works for months.
Sure, very quickly, come down in a matter of weeks, months?
Sorry?
Weeks or months? You said the prices will come down in weeks or months?
Some are going to come down in weeks, some are going to come down in months. We just had in terms of affordability, we just had the best month in the housing market due to affordability, due to increased supply in October, best October in 3 years, best month since February.
Let me ask you big picture, Mr. Secretary.
I mean, yes, we did add a good amount of jobs to the economy. I believe it was about 119,000 jobs that was added to the economy in October. So, I mean, hey, it's positive job growth for about what? Like maybe like a month or two of low to negative job growth. Well, I know we had negative job growth during the summer.
Secretary, you said earlier this month, I'm going to quote you,
One
quote,
bad month.
I think there are sectors of the economy that are in a recession. Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council, said, quote, we're starting to see pockets of the economy that look like they might be in a recession. Which parts of the economy do you believe have dipped into a recession?
Well, clearly housing has been struggling, and interest rate sensitive sectors have been in a recession. And the other thing that was not helpful, Kristen, was the longest government shutdown in history. It was 1.5% hit to GDP. The 9,500 flights canceled, and the Democrats didn't care that they hurt the American economy. Anything to stop Donald Trump.
Well, big picture, is the country at risk, the entire country at risk of being in a recession?
No, I am very confident about 2026, because what we are going to see is the president has done peace deals, tax deals, and trade deals, but one big, beautiful bill. And to go back to affordability, affordability has two components. So it's price of goods and real incomes. So under the one big, beautiful bill, especially.
And the only way to beat this inflation, well, be real with you, is not the lowering of inflation, but it's the raising of wages. Like, yes, we have to raise wages. And I mean, here's the thing. It kind of goes into Trump's whole immigration strategy is to create scarcity in the worker market. So wages also go up that way as well. So it all works into raising wages. That's why it was no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, because Trump's main goal is to raise wages to outpace inflation. Can it be done? I mean, yeah, it can be. But will Trump do it? Well, let's see if he can pull it off.
For working Americans, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility and loans for American cars. That's all kicking in. Americans have not changed their withholding, so we're going to see substantial refunds to working families in the first quarter of 2026. Americans will change their withholding, and they will get an increase in real income. The trade deals that we've done, I was just at my hometown, Charleston, South Carolina. Boeing is expanding their Dreamliner plant, 1,000 new jobs, and I think we're going to see these plant openings every week. I am very, very optimistic on 2026. We have set the table for a very strong, non-inflationary growth economy.
Okay, let me ask you about the big news on the world stage. You just talked about the president's peace deals. Let's talk about Ukraine. U.S. lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, Ukrainian officials who I've spoken to, say the peace plan for Russia and Ukraine, as written, only benefits Russia. Let me ask you simply, Mr. Secretary, was this 28-point plan written by Russia?
I have no information on that, Kristen, but I can tell you, I am the highest ranking U.S. official to have visited Ukraine. I went last February.
I would say this. I mean, yeah, I would just admit it. Like, yeah, it's definitely written by Russia. Actually, Russia came into the negotiation table and they told Ukraine negotiators just to sit their ass down and let them handle things. Because that's literally how this Ukrainian peace deal was written. Like, literally written by the Kremlin and nobody else. Like, nobody else, not even America, not even we had anything to say about it. They just sat everybody down and they said, look, you're just about to watch us write this treaty, okay? You're about to watch us write the peace deal.
And when I went last February, I went with an economic cooperation agreement between the U.S. and Ukraine. President Zelensky pushed back against it. The same people you're just talking about there pushed back against it. Mainstream media pushed back against it. You know what? We did it 3 months later, and now it is the centerpiece for the Ukrainian economy, that this agreement is even funding military plants for the very innovative military sector in the Ukraine. So, I would be very careful on conventional wisdom. And to go back to your question, it is a peace negotiation.
Well, okay, to that point, Republican Senator Mike Rounds, who was briefed by Secretary Rubio, came out and he said this, quote, "It's not our peace plan. It looked more like it was written in Russian to begin with." Secretary Rubio said,
it doesn't matter. I mean, look, them signing this peace plan does not affect us not one bit. Are we losing land? No. Do we got to cut our army? No. So I'm not even understanding why they're trying to include us in Ukraine's mess. Like, we're like, first off, Ukraine isn't even part of NATO. So, I mean, I don't even know what all this loyalty to Ukraine is all about. Like, bro, It don't even make sense. Like, at least with the Israel first guys, that makes sense because a lot of those guys are mostly Jewish. But this whole loyalty to Ukraine stuff, I mean, y'all not even Ukrainian. Actually, y'all actually have a hatred for the people of Russia, which guess what? There's a lot of Russians in Ukraine. So I'm so confused on this blind loyalty towards them and thinking that we just need to go balls to the wall for a country that, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was known for corruption most of its, like, honestly, all of its life. So please tell me why we care so much about Ukraine. Just make it make sense.
It looked more like it was written in Russian to begin with.
But he's right. It's not our peace plan. You're right. It's Ukraine and Russia's peace plan. Like, stop trying to include the U.S. as if we're taking a loss here.
Secretary Rubio says the U.S. did write the plan, but regardless of who wrote it, U.S. lawmakers are concerned that it benefits Russia over Ukraine. Is the administration, is President Trump planning to pressure Ukraine to accept this deal?
Look, at the end of the day, it's going to be a decision with the Ukrainians. President Trump is a president of peace. This war would not have started. There was no Ukrainian territory taken anytime that he's been in office. Everything else, Crimea and this move had been when President Trump wasn't there. President Trump has put more pressure on the Russian Federation with economic sanctions. The laggards here are the Europeans. The Europeans tell me, oh, we are doing our 19th sanctions package. In my mind, Kristen, if you're going to do something 19 times, you failed. Instead, President Trump moved forward with a bold initiative that the Europeans would not follow us on. He put a 25% tariff on India because they were buying Russian oil. The Russian oil going in.
And yeah, here's the thing, like, we low-key tried our hardest. Like, we put sanctions on these guys already. Like, we did it before the war even started. I mean, we got India to back out of buying oil. We got China to back out of buying rare earth minerals from these guys. I mean, we did everything in our power to cripple their economy, and they still came out on top. Still end up having the upper hand on the battlefield. We weren't able to crush their economy in time to pretty much get Ukraine a dub. I told you that was the gamble. The gamble was, can we crush Russia's economy in time so they can't even carry out the war, and either they get a stalemate or they lose? Apparently, this is where we're at right now. None of that happened. Their economy didn't get crushed, and if anything, it was Ukraine that got crushed militarily.
To the Indian refineries, guess who was buying that? The Europeans. They are funding the war on themselves. President Trump, 2 weeks ago, sanctioned Rosneft and Lukoil, the two biggest Russian oil companies, and the price of Russian oil has collapsed.
Very quickly, is the Thanksgiving deadline set by President Trump a firm deadline?
I haven't spoken to him about it, but I am confident that the peace process is moving forward.
Okay, let me ask you about another topic this week that got a lot of attention. 6 congressional Democrats released a video with a message to service members and intelligence officials. Take a look.
The threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
President Trump accused these lawmakers of, quote, seditious behavior punishable by death. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that every order President Trump gives is lawful. Are you confident that every order that President Trump gives is lawful, Mr. Secretary?
Kristen, what I am confident of is that this was a display of gross negligence here, that there are 2.1 million service members. And you're probably going to say, oh, like off the rails representatives have gotten death threats. Well, what about the 2.1 million service members? They have put their lives at risk. There is one commander in chief. And when you step outside of the chain of command and try to create the noise and chaos, that only helps our enemies.
Are you confident, though, Mr. Secretary, that every order that President Trump gives is in fact lawful, as Caroline Leavitt has said?
I am confident of that. And I am also confident that this was a complete mistake. They should retract it.
Okay, before I let you go, I have to ask you about your op-ed in the Washington Post this morning. A lot of folks going to wake up to that. You call for an end to the filibuster. In the past, Leader Thune has said that it's just not happening. There aren't the votes. Mr. Secretary, Do you believe that you have enough votes, that the president has enough votes to get rid of the filibuster?
Well, we will see come January 30th, because that's the point of my editorial, is to put the Senate on notice that the Democrats kept the government shut down. And Ezra Klein in the New York Times took the mask off. He said this wasn't about healthcare. This was about stopping totalitarianism. The Democrats haven't been able to stop President Trump in the courts. They haven't been able to stop him in the media. So they had to harm the American people. 1.5% hit to GDP, $11 billion permanent hit. They don't care. So I believe that Senate Democrats, if Senate Democrats close the government again, that Senate Republicans should immediately abrogate the filibuster. You should ask Senator Klobuchar whether she will adhere to the filibuster and whether she will close the government again.
Just yes or no, though. Do you acknowledge at this point you don't have the votes right now to do that?
We will see. Can have them on January 3rd when we see this bad Democratic behavior.
All right.
All right.
Secretary Bessent, thank you so much for being here and for the robust conversation. We really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Covered a lot of ground.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and get over to, well, this nice little clip real quick, and then we're going to move into the monologue. And hey, I'll keep the stream going if we can go ahead and get up to $30 in super chat, because right now we're only at $5, and only my man Parabolic is, supported. So shout out to my man Parabolic. In the meantime, though, enjoy this clip, and then I'll be back with a monologue.
Whoa, the Department of War just announced they may recall Senator Mark Kelly to military service for a court-martial over his involvement in the Defy Illegal Orders video. The political weaponization has seeped into our military. This is disgusting. Let's explain a few things before we argue. So Senator Mark Kelly is a retired Navy captain and NASA astronaut. Yeah, where he served our nation over 24 years, flying 39 combat missions during the Gulf War and logging over 5,000 flight hours and 4 space shuttle flights at NASA. He's the definition of a patriot. But because he served longer than 20 years, he is considered a retired service member and therefore still subject to the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, unlike the other veterans in the infamous video. And all the Department of War said today is they are following their protocol and opening an inquiry into the senator, which could lead to a recalling of the senator to service so he can be court-martialed and face charges. But that has yet to happen, which is just so absurd that any of this is even happening. The video released by these duly elected Democrats said absolutely nothing other than reminding service members of their oath of office. They said you must defy illegal orders, which is the law. They were merely reminding military members of their oath. Look, the Department of War has promised due process for Mark Kelly. A military lawyer will screen the allegations and a determination will be made if the evidence exists that Kelly violated the UCMJ or the U.S. Code, specifically 8 U.S. Code 2387, which prohibits actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Okay, that code requires intent, and these lawmakers made their intent clear. They took an oath to the Constitution, and all their video did was remind service members part of their oath is one to defy manifestly illegal orders. Every service member is trained knowing this, and all this video did was remind them of that. Okay, but their reminder came with this huge lead up saying, and I quote, right now the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home, unquote. This is a clear insinuation that illegal orders are already being given, but they gave no examples, and you can see when Democratic leaders are making this unclear claim how it could cause chain of command issues. Okay, but their lack of examples could be interpreted that they were saying illegal orders are not being given now, but they see the breadcrumbs of potential future illegal orders. Like what? Trump's first term when he reportedly suggested shooting protesters, or when he incessantly called to overthrow the 2020 election, or when he called for the termination of the Constitution, or this term when he said, quote, he who saves his country does not violate any law, said every dictator ever, or Stephen Miller suggesting judges' rulings against them are committing legal insurrection, or his top members in the DOJ reportedly openly suggesting violating court orders. I can go on and on. Okay, I mean, it feels like we're cherry picking. Must I remind you, these Democrats have now admitted no illegal orders have been given as of yet. Don't you think that would have been an important piece to add into this video? China, Russia, Iran, they're all praying U.S. military members start questioning the orders they're given, as that leads to a weakened military, which threatens our homeland. Again, we're living in a time where we have a president who admitted he thinks as long as he's, quote, saving his country, he cannot violate any laws. These lawmakers merely reiterated that even in a time where we have a president who disregards our Constitution, that service members' oath remains to the Constitution. It is crucial. They know Democrats will have their back, and that's all that was done here. Well, now it'll be up to the legal processes of the U.S. Senator Mark Kelly will be given his due process to see whether or not he upheld the laws of the United States. If reminding people of their constitutional duties is illegal now, we have some issues. I think I've made my point on that. Have you?
Nah, sure. I know I made my point on it, but all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the monologue. And like I said, we can keep the stream going if we can at least get up to, like I said, about $30 in super chat or, gifts and all that good stuff. Other than that, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, we can definitely do this tomorrow. You know me, I ain't tripping. But let's go ahead and get into the monologue, because I do want to talk about tariffs and how these Dems are dishonest about the way they do, dishonest about the way they view tariffs. They say, oh, it's a tax on the consumer. Wrong. It's a tax on imports. And they even say that within the definition, but then they say, but it's a tax on imports, so it gets passed on to the consumer. But I thought you said it was a tax on the consumer. No, the definition is a tax on imports. So there you go. And the economics of it, or how that price gets passed down, or where it goes, or how a company eats it, is mainly depending on the competition in that market or what the industry is. Like I said, the less competition in the market, the more likely there are to pass down prices. The more competition, the less likely. So when I sit here and I tell you that these companies or the importers can take it to the profit margin, overhead costs, and they'll do all that just to avoid passing it down to the consumer, because one, they know the consumer can't pay anymore, and two, they know they still got competition out there that, well, guess what, these guys lower their prices or they keep their prices the same and Walmart's raising their prices, they might lose out to other places on things like grocery, clothes, electronics. And this is all if they decide to pass down that cost to the consumer. They could lose out to places like Target, Kohl's, I'm not sure about too much Kohl's, but Best Buy, like other places that have that more selective, retail. Now that I've explained tariffs, let me tell you why Trump lowering the tariffs does not mean that, it gets passed on to the consumer. Because like I said, these guys could take it to the overhead. So him lowering tariffs could mean that, they could either buy more product to lower their price. I mean, shoot, they can either start hiring more people, because yes, these companies can either, one, take it to overhead, two, take it to profit, and three, pass it down. Why are they less likely to pass it down? Because the competition in the market is too damn great. Of course, depending on the industry. And most of the industries that you're talking about are pretty competitive industries. Now, if you want to talk about bananas, I ain't gonna lie. Hey, we ain't growing bananas here, so they can pass down that price. Why? Because there's not that much competition. Coffee. Do we grow coffee beans here? No, we don't. So there's not much competition. Now, if these guys had heavy competition in America, let's say we were going to own coffee beans, or let's say, I don't know, some other country was offering us a better deal, they would have to keep their prices the same. Why? Because if they raise it, just lose out on sales. And then let's be real, raising the price really isn't going to be worth it, or passing the tariff on, it just wouldn't be worth it. But all right, now. And let's go over to sedition, because this is going to be like the third time I talked about sedition, because it's just absolutely ridiculous how these guys were able to go out on television, talk about unlawful orders with no example of what Trump did, and they're just going off a look, man. He said something that some guy wrote in a book. He said he might shoot civilians, or he might start shooting protesters. And guess what? It's not on audio. It's not on video. It's just he say, she say. This one, his ex-secretary of defense, or the deputy secretary of defense, wrote in the book. So we're just supposed to take that and just radicalize it to say, oh, now he's gonna start, sending out unlawful orders. Really? And isn't it kind of condescending and disrespectful towards our military men to think that they don't know what an unlawful order is? And that's the problem with the Dems. It's like, if things aren't going their way, they start thinking that, there got to be some type of duplicity going on. Like with the Supreme Courts, when these guys start losing to the Supreme Court, they say, oh, well, it's because Trump owns it and all this wild stuff, and everybody's a Trump loyalist. It's like, no, Trump just happens to be following the Constitution, and y'all just don't like it. Y'all don't like the Supreme Court is confirming it. That's just the way it is. They don't like the fact that the National Guard is being employed in these cities to bring back some type of peace or some type of stability. They don't like it. So what do? They go out and start. And here's the thing. This whole sedition thing, that message, it was generated towards the National Guard and towards the people to make the National Guard look bad, or to try to turn the people against the National Guard. Because, I mean, why else would you do it? If not to sow confusion in the people and within the National Guard. Now you got two groups confused, but now you got one group seeing the other group as an agitator, just like you did with ICE. And look what that got you. I mean, honestly, that got the doubling down of the National Guard even worse. Like Trump brought down law enforcement even worse upon these liberal cities. So I'm not even sure why they're still fighting like this, knowing damn well ICE is only upholding the law, knowing damn well ICE can hold people up to 72 hours, but they're gonna say, "Oh well, they held somebody for the day, and that's just such a crime. It's so wrong." No, it's not. No, that's just how they do investigations. Okay, chill out. All right, but let's go to healthcare. Yes, healthcare. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Obamacare is as far as giving people healthcare, it did its job. As far as giving people affordable healthcare, which is two different things. Affordable healthcare, it completely failed on all metrics. It became more unaffordable as time went on, and it only enriched the healthcare companies like United Healthcare. United Healthcare, their CEO got shot by Luigi Mangione. That guy, United Healthcare, that denies like 30% of their claims. United Healthcare, those devious bastards, those guys. Yep, they got 1,000% stock increase since Obamacare was enacted. So, was Obamacare for the people? Was it for them? Was it for the insurance corporations? Because till this day, those Obamacare subsidies, yeah, they go straight to them. Not you, or not anything that can help you afford healthcare, straight to them. So that's the problem with healthcare right now. It's like it was supposed to be like some damn near a socialist program to give healthcare to all, or to give affordable healthcare to all, but damn near turned into corporate cronyism again. It's wild how that kind of worked out. We started with a basically a socialist intention, but we got a capitalist outcome. And I'm all for capitalism, but to this degree to the crony capitalism that is going on right now, I can't do it. I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for free market. Trust me, it gives the best advancement, growth, like opportunity for you to come from the bottom to the top. Nothing beats capitalism under those metrics. But what we allow to go on within the free market, bro, that's crony capitalism. That's never going to help the American people. Actually, especially the way these corporations are lobbying politicians to go against our interests. We vote them in. We vote these bastards in, and then they dare get paid off by a politician. It's almost like, bro. So hundreds of people just voted for you just for 1 to 5 people to buy you out. Well, ain't that a bitch? Man. But let's get over to some let's get over to Ukraine. So once again, another topic I spent about 3 days talking about, because people are childish when it comes to Ukraine. They literally sat there and thought that small old Ukraine could beat big Russia, can beat mother Russia. Now I ain't gonna sit there and just deride Russia, but I gotta be honest, we all knew they were gonna win. And I'm sorry that you guys are sitting here hurt that, oh, how come Russia's getting this great deal? Like, how could this be? I mean, obviously they were winning on the battlefield. How else could it be? How else could this happen? I mean, come on. 1 + 1 is still 2, right? All right, great. You can still follow me then. So Ukraine going up against a superpower equals an L, a major L, a land concession L. And guess what? We all got to hold that. I mean, yeah, as Americans, we put our money behind it. Thank God we were dumb enough to put boots on the ground. We got to hold that L. It was a dumb thing to invest in anyway. We were investing in a military L. Now that we're here, I mean, we thought we could get pulled off the W, but we got an L for $350 billion in, at least no lives lost, and what, a whole lot of missiles just wasted that we could have used. So thanks a lot, Ukraine. I mean, we put all this into you just give us an L. And now we got Rubio out here looking retarded in front of the world stage, looking white in the face, whiter than usual, just going like, well, look, man, this ain't the final deal. We could possibly get something better. Don't expect nothing better, but just know we could possibly get something better. It's pretty much what this man hit us with on live television. So shout out Rubio. You're doing your best, brother. You're doing your best. So hey, you got a dealt a shitty hand. It is what it is. It is what it is. But all right. Oh, guys, you guys any comments? Like I say, you guys can still super chat in and all that good stuff. Now let's go to some Ohio politics with Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, you know what I actually like Vivek? I actually do. I mean, some good ideas. Like guys, check this out. Check this out. Check out Vivek.
You know, I'd really like to know what you guys think about Vivek Ramaswamy, right? So Vivek says fossil fuels are a requirement for human flourishing, plain and simple. And then he goes in this video, he's going to do a little bit of a deep dive. We're going to play it here in a second, but I just want to know, I mean, he speaks a lot of common sense ideas. Is he able to deliver on them? I don't know. But I think we get a governor like Vivek who's literally just hell-bent on becoming president one day, and he actually wants to like pretend like he's going to be the most America first patriot politician in office, and he actually delivers on a lot of the shit that he says. These governors have a lot of freaking power. So if he gets in office, you get a good mayor, a couple towns, maybe some shit changes. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. Drop those. I don't trust him, but
I don't trust him.
Get worse, right? So drop those comments below. Let me know what you think of Vivek. Peace.
All right, I'm in an above-ground coal mine here in Noble County, Ohio. We just climbed up this big mountain. The secret to Ohio's energy success is baseload power generation. And the reason electric bills are so high across the state is that, unfortunately, there has been a war on coal. That was a mistake, and we have to end that.
Yeah, that's true. I remember, back in my childhood, I lived down the street from a, shut down coal plant. Like, shut down. You can still see some of the piles of rocks and coal over there and all that good stuff. Now they didn't clean it up. And I mean, they didn't clean it up and turn it into a hotel. Surprise, surprise. Still got some of the reminiscence of the coal factory that was there. But yeah, I mean, during that time, bro, everybody was trying to move towards clean energy, even in my childhood.
Or now, not just by using coal and our natural resources, but also turning to natural gas in addition. The truth is fossil fuels are a requirement for human flourishing. It's just the hard fact. The sooner we own up to that and accept it and embrace it, the more successful we're going to be as a state, the more we bring down those electric bills and energy costs for Ohioans, and the more we power that manufacturing boom that we bring to our state, because there's no manufacturing dominance without energy dominance. They're two sides of the same coin. These are some of the greatest workers I've met in my tour today. These are the people who power Ohio's economy. My message to Eastern Ohio is, you're not a forgotten region. You're part of our future. And coal and natural gas are an important part of it.
And all right, see, I like the man's plan. The man got a great vision. But bro, when you create these coal jobs, are you just going to fill them with Indians and just tell us that we're lazy and we're mediocre? Because I'm be honest with you, Vivek, you still got a lot of people effed up with that, and you had never retracted that. So this is why I'm hesitant to vote for you as my governor, because I don't trust you. I don't know. You could create all these jobs, and then you're going to tell us, well, you guys are too mediocre, so I just gave them to a whole bunch of Indians. Actually, we're going to increase the H-1B visas coming into Ohio and Ohio State, and we'll just fuck you guys. I'm sorry, Vivek, but I don't trust you not to do that. I should be able to trust you, but I don't. I mean, you play in our face like you America first, but you had a mask off moment with the H-1B visas. And then I'm pretty sure if I look into your pharmaceutical company, I'll find a whole bunch of H-1B visas. Will I not? But then you'll sit here in front of our face, say you're America first, so you believe in American talent. But I'm pretty sure I can find all through your company of how you don't honestly believe in American talent yourself. I mean, or you wouldn't have came out with that rant calling us all mediocre. Trying to have a nerd out moment. Like, you had what? Did you hate the jocks growing up, Vivek? Did the jocks bully you? Did the jocks get the cute girl that you want? Since you said we have a jock worshiping culture. Really, bro? Come on now. Get over what happened to you in high school. But that's just my personal opinions about Vivek, though. Like, I honestly think, his policies are good, but who's he doing it for? Are you just doing it for the H-1B visa guys just going to jump in here? We're just going to start seeing Ohio flooded with a whole bunch of Indians? Or are you actually doing it for the American people? Like all of us, not just the Indians, not just the Indian Americans, not just the H-1B visa guys, but all of us, making sure that all of us can get in on the prosperity, not just your own. Because that's the problem, man. Some of y'all come over here and y'all just do for your own people and not us. And then y'all going to tell us that we're mediocre. Okay, then. I mean, trust me, the Asians try to do the same thing. So no, we ain't going for it no more. So I don't know, Vivek, can we trust you? Because I don't know, man. The way you snapping on Twitter kind of makes it sound like you don't really believe in American talent. You believe in the prosperity of, the land of the United States. I mean, yes, you're speaking good about our natural resources and all that good stuff. But what about the people? Do you believe in the people? Because we all believe in the resources of the United States. But we have a problem in the United States where we don't believe in each other. But hey, let's go ahead and get on to my man, Mamdani, just for reference, though.
I was talking mad shit about the president before I came here, but as soon as I met him, I saw his big balls and how handsome he is in person, and so tall and tanned. Just Perfect. I just froze. He's definitely the alpha male.
Oh, we're at $5 for a donation. If y'all want to keep the stream going, shoot, just get me up to at least like 25, 30, and I got you guys. We'll keep the stream going.
The greatest president of all time. I hope he runs again in 2028. He'll definitely win. I'm just lucky I get to be in the presence of such greatness. Best day ever. And Mr. President, congrats on those big, beautiful balls of yours.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Was talking mad shit.
Ah, man, I was talking mad shit. I'm like, hey, he was at first. He was at first. But here's the funny thing about Mandani. The turnaround. This man don't even believe that he's going to get the tax increase. I mean, a damn near what the governor is saying it, which I honestly think Governor Hochul, she's going to capitulate, I believe. In my honest opinion, she's going to capitulate because it'd be going against the Democratic base to ignore Mandani's request to raise taxes. Am I wrong? Don't really think about this. If she ignores Mandani and tells them no, she's basically ignoring everybody who voted for Mandani to do this until she told them no. In the most highly populated city in her state. You think she can afford to do that? You think she want to play around like that? I don't know. I don't think so at all. I don't think she's willing to risk it. She may just say, hey, bro, F what these people talk about. I gotta make sure, the corporations and the rich people stay here because they're the ones paying most of the taxes. She could say that. Or she could just, feed into the base, and it is what it is. Hey, and shout out to my man Chase, man, for the baller alert. Hey, appreciate the support, Chase. And he has chosen. He says, we need a conspiracy hour. I got you. But let's listen to my man Zoran Mandani begging us for money. Well, not us, not me. But if you're in New York, he's begging you. Well, New York City.
Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. I'm still asking for your help because we need to raise $4 million in total. So January 1st can be the day we start to deliver, not start to prepare. I hope very soon not to have to ask you for money. But until then, I'm asking. Thieves, they are changing. The air.
Shameless.
It is crisp. But one thing that stays the same is we still need you to donate. Remember how I
still need them to donate. I'm just like, Zoran, is either you spent too much on your campaign and you're in debt, or you're actually just trying to make the New Yorkers not only have to pay these taxes, but also have to pay extra money so you can fund your socialist agenda. Yeah, I don't think that's fair, but hey, man, this is why, I feel like Zoran Mandani is going to have to water things down. Excuse me, but he has no choice. He has no choice but to water things down. No choice at all. And this right here, oh, you know what? I may piss some of you guys off with my commentary on this, but this right here, in my opinion, is low-key sick. And I'm going to play the video and I'm going to tell you why.
Every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord.
Bacon. It's really good.
Bacon?
Bacon? Anybody?
Wow.
Under the new rules from the 12th Imam, you can eat bacon. It's halal. You can eat bacon whenever you want.
So... yeah,
the prayer ended.
Now, this guy was being completely soft about it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like this bro wasn't overreacting.
We look up to see them taunting us in our faces with bacon.
Now, I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be taking this serious, but the fact that he cried over bacon is crazy. But here's the thing, though. There has been a relentless disrespect of the Muslim community. And here's the thing, guys. You guys are not trying, and I don't know why, but it's our side. It's my side. So I got to hold my side accountable for this. Over here in MAGA, over here on the conservative side, for some reason, we feel like it's okay to demonize Muslims and treat them all as if they're just all one culture, as if they're just practice it all the same. And that's not true. And disrespecting their religion, I'm be real with you, they're not even doing that to us. So why are we doing that to them? Like, shouldn't we show more grace as Christians? Like, I mean, that was like one of the best things that Jesus taught was grace. Now, I know you guys think that they're trying to take over the United States and all this wild stuff, but guess what? You can't prove that. And you're only listening to the radicals, and then you're assuming that's all the Muslims. I mean, let's be real, guys. As MAGA, like, think about it. Since January 6th, everybody painted us like we're January 6ers. They painted y'all as criminals. They painted y'all as the worst of people. So y'all understand this. But we're out here doing it to other people. Like, what the fuck? Like, and then we got bastards out here holding up the Quran, slapping bacon on it, acting like the Muslims ain't gonna do something about it. I mean, bro, if I'm out there in, I don't know, the Amish country or Mormon country, ripping out pages of the Bible, like, come on now. And yes, I get it. I get it. Freedom of speech and all that good stuff, but that's inciting violence. So we all know that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the bigotry, I'm just never gonna get down with. I will disagree with certain cultures of Islam all day. I would disagree and hate those terrorists along with you all day, but I will never sit here and say that's just all Muslims. But the problem is there's people who actually treat it like it's all Muslims. And that's just the worst way to go about it, demonizing the religion and all that good stuff. And they don't talk no shit about us, none at all. I know what you're saying. Well, how could they talk shit about Jesus Christ, the Savior? Well, because they also believe that Jesus Christ was the Messiah too. And it's kind of crazy because they stand up for Jesus more than the Christians do. If you talk shit about Jesus, the Muslims gonna work with you. If somebody talks shit to Jesus about us, we're just going like, bro, whatever, bro, get out of my face with that. We're not gonna beat their ass over it. I mean, we can at least respect them for that. They wanted to whoop ass for Jesus and Muhammad. We can at least appreciate that. Find commonality with the Muslims instead of trying to demonize these people and try to say that, oh, they're just trying to take us over. Said, not all of them. No, they're not. Actually, it's a very, very small percent that actually have that ideology. Most of them just want to coexist with us, to be quite honest. And I ain't mad at it. Actually, I would say this. Why don't we use that same logic for the Mexicans? I'm just saying, why don't we use that same logic for the Mexicans? They're invading, they're trying to take us over, except they're Christians, so it's cool though. Okay, though they can invade, you could be a people and invade us at high numbers and disrespect our culture, and it's all good though, because you're Christian. No, we ain't gonna radicalize you like that. We're not gonna call you a bunch of pedophile worshipers. We're not just gonna disrespect your religion. Nope, it's all good. I mean, come on, guys. Like I said, I'm never going to get down with demonizing an entire group of people. It's just not in me. I'm just not a hateful person. And I reject any hatefulness like that's around me. I'm be honest with you. I just don't like it. We can sit here and disagree about them and all that good stuff. You can feel the way you want to feel about Muslims. And I will still be friends with you. I will still enjoy talking to you. It is what it is. But don't ever expect me to sit there and have the same hatred for Muslims as you. I just can't do it. It's just not in me as a man, as a person, as a human being, as somebody who actually believes in the teachings of Jesus Christ. I don't think the man would actually want us out here hating Muslims and trying to demonize these people. I don't think the man want us to demonize anybody. And you're talking to the guy that and here's the thing, I don't demonize Mexicans. I just said the illegal ones got to go. I don't demonize Muslims. I just said the illegal ones got to go. And those ones who want Sharia law, yeah, they got to go, but that's not all of them. That's not all of them. Actually, some of these Muslims come over here to practice a more liberal version of Islam. It is what it is. It is what it is.
I had to relive the whole thing again.
Every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father.
But yeah, and you see, look, they're just peacefully praying and they're taunting them with bacon and all this good stuff. And this is I'm starting to see this more and more in line. And I don't want us to go down this path. I don't want us to practice this type of bigotry at all. I don't want to see it in MAGA at all. And we should all reject it. We can sit here and have our criticisms about Islam, but treating these guys as if they're like not human, treating them as if they're just the worst people on the earth, that ain't it, man. That ain't it. Trust me. I mean, 1% of the population, and we're going to treat them like what? They can really take over the United States? I mean, let's be real. If you want to avoid that, have more kids. Boom, there you go. Whole operation has been destroyed if you just out baby the Muslims. Oh, we don't want to do that. Okay, then what are we complaining about? But all right, now I do want to get on to conspiracy hour, though. I do want to get on to conspiracy because that's what my man Chase and my man Green Bean paid for. He said, "Let the good times roll," and they shall. And they shall. But in the meantime, though, while I go ahead and pull up the conspiracy video, let's go ahead and watch CNN real quick. Cause yeah, I ain't gonna lie, they did a number. Definitely did a number on Scott Besson.
The holiday shopping season kicks off this week. Really? Because I feel like it already started. Millions of Americans are bracing for some sticker shock from tariffs and inflation this time around. CNN's Harry Anton is running the numbers on the state of inflation and the state of how people feel about it. I mean, how do Americans feel about inflation, how it's impacting their lives?
They think prices are rising, and it's across different. Look at this. I mean, just your costs are up versus a year ago. Groceries, 85%, utilities, 78%, healthcare, 67%, housing, 66%, gasoline, 54%. The bottom line is this: Americans feel like prices are rising in each and every single part of their lives, rising ever climber, and they just don't feel like, Kate Baldwin, that they can catch a break.
The Treasury Secretary in new comments kind of dismissed the impact tariffs is having on inflation, also saying that prices are going to be coming down in weeks. Some other prices are going to be coming down in months. What do Americans think about that?
Yeah, they think he's full of it. That's exactly what they think. I mean, just take a look here. Tariffs raising prices right now. I'm going to come over Kate's side of the screen, 71%.
How dare you?
I mean, when you go all over, and here's the thing, bro. This is how duplicitous mainstream media is. Like when you go all over mainstream media and you say, "Oh, it raises," tariffs are a tax on people. Tariffs are a tax on the people. They're gonna actually start to run with that. They're actually gonna start to believe it the more you say it. And then when you sit there telling them that instead of the inflation that Biden caused for the reason for the price increase, it's so easy just to blame it on Trump and just, oh no, it's because of the tariffs. Not the fact that we're still dealing with inflation from the Biden era. No, it's these tariffs. It has to be. Why? Because Trump did it. Okay, keep going with that logic.
Where I do that, 84% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and even a majority of Republicans. When you can get a majority of Republicans to agree with majority of Democrats, you know that the pain is being felt by the American public right now. The Treasury Secretary can try and tell the people something, but they can feel in their pocketbooks. They simply put, don't buy what he and this administration is selling them when it comes to tariffs.
You know, and Harry, one thing we've heard over and over again.
Even though they've brought back jobs, I mean, they've gained revenue. So let's see, the jobs, the revenue, the trade deals, all this stuff that tariffs brought in. And I mean, what have you guys done besides actually try to strike down the very thing that brought us investments? That's all I got to say. But oh yeah, and also I would do want to point to this graph that I also posted as well, because you can also go to my main page. You can see this graph right here. Like, bro, you can't really talk to us about pricing when you guys did this under Biden. Like the doubling of prices under Biden. And you think that all just went away? You think we're not dealing with that today? I mean, come on now. That it'd be extremely dishonest to sit there and say that, oh yeah, that price increase under Biden, that just disappeared. This is all Trump now. No, that's not how it works. I almost wish that's how it works. I almost wish it just disappeared and it reset it under Trump, bro. That'd be great.
Those around him blaming the Biden administration for where inflation is right now. Do people agree with that?
No. You know what? I want to quote Judge Judy, but I'm not going to. I'm merely going to try and say it's like they're trying to sell ice up at the North Pole when it comes to this. More responsible for the current economy. 62% of Americans say it's Donald Trump. Just 32% say it's Joe Biden. Look, Donald Trump did, in fact, inherit an economy from Joe Biden, but now we are nearly a year into the Donald Trump administration. If the Trump administration is trying to push the book over there, they simply put, the American folks aren't buying it. They say at this point, it is Donald Trump's economy, and what is happening in terms of inflation is his responsibility.
That's what happens when you become president.
Who knew? You know what?
You inherit the economy.
That's exactly right. If you want the power, you get the power, but with great power.
I mean, damn, what was that? You know what? Never mind. F it. They could use the excuse of inheriting an economy, but okay. But not Trump. Okay. I got you.
Great responsibility.
Oh, Harry Anton and the quotes. Thank you so much, my dear.
Is the economy headed for a recession? The Trump administration claims no.
I am very confident about 2026 because what we are going to
guys, I'm about to go ahead and put a poll in the chat for what conspiracy video you guys want to watch.
see is the president has done peace deals, tax deals, and trade deals, but one big, beautiful bill. And to go back to affordability has two components. So it's price of goods and real incomes.
Okay, but that's not how you all are feeling about it. Look at this Pew Research survey. It found that nearly 75% believe economic conditions in the country are fair or poor. Cost of living, food prices, high inflation among the issues driving those concerns. I'm going to bring in the group chat now to talk about this. I feel like there's a world of pundits out there already that can talk about the economy. And I bring this up because the White House tends to say the mainstream media is the one that's saying the economy is bad.
Yeah, but people feel it in prices. It's the inflation.
Yeah, people do feel it in prices, but let's be real. If you say prices are up, but the prices in the economy, let's be real. When our GDP is up 3% and our stock market are seeing record highs, yeah, I mean, yeah, in terms of that, the economy is actually doing pretty well. But we're still talking about in terms of affordability, yeah, that's still a problem. And even if personal income done rose up by like 1,200, that's still not enough to dig us out of the $3,000 in buying power we lost under those 4 years of Biden. That, like I said, the Democrats like to pretend that never happened.
Issue is still a big problem, especially heading into the holiday season where people are planning for their meals. The whole food stamp issue ahead of the holiday season created even more chaos. Ultimately, I think a lot of Americans feel as though the Trump administration came in saying that they were going to do so much better than Joe Biden did on the economy, only to see inflation still high, mortgage rates are still high, and they want to see the tune switch from this Trump administration. We have seen it, though, Audie, I will say. Trump is starting to talk more about the A word, affordability.
I thought that's why he was jawboning with Mamdani in such a friendly way, right? Like, am I making that up?
That's part of it. It seems like. Look, Mamdani ran on affordability. That was what it was at the core of it. Everything else that there is to him, democratic socialism, always talk about Israel, it was affordability. And that's why he got the response that he did, because New York has gotten more and more expensive. But so has pretty much everywhere else around the country. And it's hard to tell people that they are not spending more money on groceries or on their electric bills or on their healthcare premiums when they are. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, in the weeks leading up to the election, I mean, I spent a lot of time out on the road in New Jersey and Virginia just talking to voters about this. And this was
Here's the worst thing about it. Like when things were at like getting pretty bad under Biden, when things were getting its worse under Biden, these guys literally sat here in our faces and said everything's good. Now that we're dealing with all these price increases from the Biden era, they're like, oh no, this is all Trump's fault. Like, so we want to pretend like prices across the board. So this, and like I said, they want to pretend like this ain't happened. They want to pretend like what I showed you right here. They want to pretend like none of this happened at all. Like it's all a lie. It's all propaganda. No, it's not. You guys literally Biden was literally in office and grocery prices skyrocketed by what, 20%? We are still paying that 20% today. Housing and shelter went up over 20%, still paying that today. The only thing this man Biden actually did good on was healthcare. That's the only thing this man did decent on. And guess what? They only added on top of the healthcare cost that was added on top of Trump. I know inflation's a bitch, but it is what it is. Like, bro, it's like damn near the one thing you don't want to happen because you can't get rid of it for real. When the price increase under inflation is still here from Biden, and when you got skyrocket results like that, y'all want to sit here and pretend like this has nothing to do with the current affordability problem. It's completely disingenuous. Like, really, you could you could tell this is a spin. This is a spin away from the actual fact that Biden actually did cause an affordability problem that's spilling over into 2025. And he was only president last year. It was only 1 year ago. Okay, guys, let's not proceed and pretend like we're 2 years in this, 10 months in, and we're supposed to fix a 2 to 3 year affordability crisis that was going on under Biden that was being ignored. Okay. Talk about unreasonable demands, but all right, we got it. We hear y'all.
By far the number one issue that people were talking about, especially for folks who maybe took a chance on voting for President Trump and maybe had not either historically voted or didn't vote Republican. A lot of people voted for him because they thought, okay, it's a change. And now it feels like Groundhog Day hearing him say the economy's great, everything's great, which is something that we heard people really push back on and really feel irritated about hearing out of the Biden administration.
And I think it's especially tricky because we see people who are rich doing well and doing better.
Yeah.
And the message that is coming across to some people is, look at this again here. More people are getting, who are rich are doing well. The stock.
Yeah, the problem is, though, you let those rich people carry their jobs overseas and don't benefit the American people one bit. But if you let those rich people, one, get hit with those tariffs and stop crying about them, I mean, 2, lower taxes so they can start investing, so start being cheaper to produce in America, start taking off some regulations so they can actually start building in America for real and start giving the American people jobs. You guys will start bitching about trickle down economics not working. Because y'all, for some reason, they complain about trickle down economics and corporations making money when they're the ones letting the corporations will not only undercut you in wages through their immigration policy, but they also allow them to go overseas for cheaper labor. Yeah, for cheaper labor. And guess what they tell you in the meantime? Oh, you wouldn't want that job anyway. Or he can do what this guy's doing right here and just say, well, you see the rich people getting richer and the American people are just sitting there destitute. You helped them. Y'all helped them. I'm not talking about these guys, but the politicians, the left, you guys literally helped them. Congratulations. By not honing down on duplicitous trade tactics, by not honing down on overseas, overshoring or outsourcing. You didn't want to hone down on that. You let the corporate cronies take off with the economy. You let them take off with our jobs. And then the man who wants to bring them back, you want to attack him? What? The one man that wants to sit there and do what you guys were too afraid to do, you guys want to attack him and want to go after the way he's doing it. With no plenty of y'all own to how you was going to bring American jobs back. No plenty of own on how you was going to raise wages. No plenty of own how you was going to get these corporations in line. Nothing at all, but just bitching. All right. Really? All right.
Market is doing well. Oh, there's not a recession, but I'm paying more for groceries. I'm paying more for my costs.
We've been talking to the CNN business folks. I was talking to them on the
Now-
podcast as well. And one of the things people are pointing out is there's so much investment in the stock market for AI specifically, to the point where the question is, if you took the AI out of the economy, would we just be in a recession right now?
I think people think that AI is holding up the markets right now. And that is a scary thing, because if you talk to people in Silicon Valley, they'd say, we've seen this bubble before in the early 2000s, that this is not sustainable growth. The other thing that we can't not talk about here is jobs in AI. You've seen in the past few weeks.
That is true, though. No, that is true. I'll give her that one. We do need to start seeing AI create more jobs and take it. And this is what my debate was Monty was on about when it came to AI, was that, bro, it does seem like they're putting the cart before the horse. And I mean, we're the horse and AI is the cart. So they're putting AI way before us. I mean, here's the thing. If I was the one implementing AI, let's say that I just ran AI, I would not let AI take jobs. I actually wouldn't even push it to be that advanced until I found a way to create enough jobs to where more jobs than it would take. If me creating AI meant that 10 million jobs will be lost, but I'm creating 30 million, so be it. I'll take that. But if I'm taking away 10 million, I'm only creating 2 million, I don't think I can consciously do that. I don't think I can do that with a good conscience. But guess what? That's me. That's not NVIDIA. That's not Sam Altman. Like, that's not Peter Thiel. They don't care. Well, maybe they do. I'm not going to assume that they don't, but 9 times out of 10, I doubt they care.
Corporations announcing huge swaths of layoffs, saying we don't need the same amount of employees, especially at the entry level, than we did before.
All right, though, let's go ahead and get over to conspiracy hour. I don't want to, bore you guys with this one too long. All right, guys, let's get right over to it. Shout out to the conspiracy files. I like this guy. He's a coming up guy. You got to love that. So shout out to conspiracy files, the Epstein files they didn't want you to see. All right, guys, let's get right into it. And appreciate the support, guys. Like I said, if any question, comments, jokes, disagreements, go ahead and super chat it in. Well, right now we're just going to go ahead and let this one ride out. All right, appreciate the support, guys. Let's go.
So we've heard a lot lately about Jeffrey Epstein and those top secret files that the FBI, Attorney General, Department of Justice are holding hostage at this very moment. As you guys know, if you've watched this channel in the past, I have made countless videos about Jeffrey Epstein, talking about some of the more intricate, intimate details of the affair. But while Epstein is known widely as being a financier, a blackmailer, and most recently known for his past relationship with President Donald John Trump, there's far more to his case than most people really know or understand. Now, Epstein was a financier out of New York who first got his start as a teacher at the Dalton School, despite having no actual college credentials to support his name, before he went on to work at Bear Stearns. He eventually opened his own firm, Intercontinental Assets Group Incorporated, or IAG, which assisted clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent fraudulent brokers and lawyers in August of 1981. And the rest was secretive history. Obviously, we all know that Epstein had prominent clients, partners, and friends in several industries across the world. But today, on this episode of the show, we're going to talk about what the Epstein files could potentially be composed of, the bare bones of the affair, so to speak, bones that have built the highly controversial case that was suddenly upended by Jeffrey's own suspicious death in 2019. After all, as we all know, men tell no tales. As always, with today's show, if you want to check out where I got this information, there is a resources document in the description. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. These are just my opinions, the host and producer of the show, The Conspiracy Files. And with all that said, let's do a deep dive. Hey everybody, real quickly, to help this channel out, please, before we move on, make sure to leave me a comment, write anything in the comment section. I just love hearing from you guys. And also be sure to like the video. Doing that,
I mean, yeah, you gotta make sure you leave those comments, man. That build engagement. Hey, that make sure your video get that push. But all right,
guys, let's get back into it. We've talked so much about Epstein. This is probably my 8th or 9th video about Epstein. I don't know how many I've done so far. But today, we're going to really examine Epstein's intelligence connections and see what kind of connections he had to what kind of agencies and who at these agencies helped to create the Epstein enigma that we're all familiar with. Now, it's long been believed by many that Jeffrey Epstein had possible connections with intelligence agencies, particularly the Central Intelligence Agency of the US, or CIA. Rumors of this connection started with Epstein himself, who supposedly told people that he was an intelligence agent early on in his career. Some also believe that this connection was made due to the fact that Epstein supposedly possessed state wealth disproportionate to his own income. Epstein allegedly met with former CIA director and diplomat William J. Burns at least 3 times. And during those meetings, Burns reportedly requested that Epstein help him, quote, transition to the private sector, end quote. Epstein also allegedly had connections with the OSS, or Office of Strategic Services, that was the primary intelligence agency to the US during World War II. The OSS was established in 1942 and was the predecessor to the modern-day CIA and U.S. Special Operations Command. Led by General William J. Donovan, the OSS was responsible for gathering intelligence, conducting covert operations, and supporting resistance movements in enemy territory. The OSS group was also involved in activities such as sabotage, espionage, and counterintelligence. Now, interestingly, Donald Barr, the father of William Bill Barr, who served as Attorney General for Bush and Donald Trump, was an OSS officer who initially hired Epstein to work for him at the Dalton.
And OSS is pretty much the well, it's the CIA before the CIA. So yes, it's the CIA's old name, the OSS
school, despite having no degree. And it's not irrational to think that Donald Barr could have recruited Epstein into the same arena. Now, I do want to point out that it is very, very strange. Donald Barr is William Bill Barr's father. William Barr, Bill Barr, was the Attorney General of the U.S. in 2019 when Epstein was arrested and ultimately self-deleted himself, allegedly. Obviously, we know that that didn't happen. I'll just say when Epstein was in prison, he was the Attorney General, and you can't make that shit up. The Attorney General of the U.S., his dad hired the most infamous criminal in the world at that time, decades prior, before Epstein was doing anything, before Epstein was allegedly involved in finance or blackmail or anything. The Attorney General's dad had hired him, and then his son is overseeing all of the justice system in the United States when Epstein is. Also, Donald Barr, William Barr's father, wrote a book. I think it's called Space Relations. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a book about intergalactic.
Yeah, bro. Space relations. I mean, yeah, it's a book about intergalactic pedophiles who are sex trafficking children, literally children. And he writes a book about this. And it's, yes, about intergalactic sex trafficking of children. And even gets explicit with some of the sex scenes. So, or rape scenes. So yeah, I'm surprised this didn't put this guy on the list or of anything, like the list of a registry. I don't know, something. Because you write a book about sex trafficking, I ain't gonna lie, bro. You kind of #1 on my list of people to look out for.
Of minors Yes, Donald Barr actually wrote and published this book while he was working at the school, the Dalton School, which was a school for children. And there's a plot line in the book about the of minors by like aliens in space. It's truly weird. You literally could not make this stuff up. Additionally, a former White House official reported that the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alexander Acosta, stated that when he was vetted for his cabinet post in the Trump administration, Acosta was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. Acosta also was the one who approved that 2008 sweetheart deal that allowed the ringleader Epstein to
yeah, not only that, but he was about to go. Yeah, he was about to go home, kick it, continue his pretty much his child massage parlor operation. Ugh. And then also during that trial, like, bro, his Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, right? His assistant got full immunity. So we're talking about the person that was working very close with Jeffrey Epstein is out there living their life and got full immunity from this case. So the main person that we should have sitting down interviewing, talking to, we can't even interview because this guy Acosta gave that person full immunity. I wonder if we could take that back. We should be able to take that back because if people are saying that that was illegal to do so, especially without notifying the victims.
Plead guilty to a single state charge of in exchange for a federal non-prosecution agreement. Obviously, we could talk all day about that too, and how this agreement was incredibly bizarre, and it basically said that we know that you had co-conspirators, but we're never going to prosecute them if you sign this, and we're not going to bring this to like this big trial, and we're not going to do this and this and this. And Epstein was given a comfortable suite in jail where he could use his laptop and conduct work and business from his jail cell. He was also allowed to go to Israel well on bail and return back to the US to go to prison. I mean, it's just the weirdest situation you can possibly imagine.
Like, dude's like, bro, go to a jail cell, do some work, walk out the jail cell, go home, do some heinous crime, and then take a trip to Israel. Let's take a little trip to the Middle East. Go to Middle East, sit there, kiss the wall, oy vey, come back, and right back to, being an intelligence asset that's trafficking children. The life of Epstein.
And I talked about that in a previous video. But after Epstein's arrest in July 2019 on those charges, Alexander Acosta faced renewed and harsher criticism for his role in the 2008 non-prosecution agreement, as well as criticism of
No, Alexander Acosta do look like a face you just want to beat up, though. I'm not even gonna lie.
calls for his resignation as Secretary of Labor. He eventually did resign in the wake of this scandal. Shortly after Epstein's death in August,
as he should. I mean, wait, he's the Attorney General, bro. I don't know what's wrong with Trump and picking like the worst Attorney Generals. Like, he just has bad luck with Attorney Generals. Actually, whoever picks his Attorney General, bro, they're part of the deep state because, bro, this guy now paying Bondi.
2019, a friend and attorney for Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime companion and accused co-conspirator in the ring, staged a photograph of Maxwell reading the Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and of CIA operatives at a Los Angeles In-N-Out Burger. How bizarre is that? They specifically
seeing that her father, Robert Maxwell, was an intelligence asset himself for the Israel. It makes sense. It makes sense. Now, I'm not sure if Ghislaine knew that her father was an intelligence asset, but he did set her up in some nice places. And that does not mean that Ghislaine know that, her father was intelligence, but, the way she living now and the way she was moving, you never know. You never know. This might have been something that she picked up on her own.
Staged her reading a book about lives and of CIA operatives to be published and disseminated throughout the media. In 2020, the Department of Justice
I'll tell you this, though. I mean, just like her father, Ghislaine Maxwell destroyed a lot of lives of women. And if you want to know what I mean by that statement, well, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, when he died, bro's company was exposed to being all fraudulent. He was embezzling money. It was built on loans on top of loans. He left people without a retirement, without pension, and just died like that. Just screwed over a whole lot of people.
Office of Professional Responsibility, or OPR, released a 350-page report detailing Epstein's plea deal and other matters. It was reported that the OPR looked into allegations that surfaced in press reports over the years that Epstein may have gotten special treatment because he was some sort of asset to U.S. intelligence agencies. Quote, Acosta stated to OPR that the answer is no, end quote, the report said. A 2021 Rolling Stone story involved a man named Stephen Hoffenberg, a very close confidant of Epstein, who was imprisoned for 18 years for committing a $450 million Ponzi scheme. And this story detailed how Stephen Hoffenberg had worked with Epstein in the financial sector. Hoffenberg claimed that at the time, Epstein moved in intelligence circles. When the author of this piece, Vicky Ward, brought up Hoffenberg's relationship to Epstein himself, the former financier reportedly legally threatened her, saying, "If there's any implication of wrongdoing, I will take legal action against you personally. I'm telling you so you understand. I will be as harsh as I possibly can personally. Not for the magazine, but you, because I had this discussion with you. This relationship is with you. You shouldn't risk your future for a job." On July 14th, 2025.
Yeah, that sounds like somebody that knows they can get you either taken out or have your whole career ruined. He said that like it was a fact.
Eric Weinstein, a mathematician and former managing director at Thiel Capital, Peter Thiel Capital, I should point out, told podcast host Stephen Bartlett during an interview that, quote, Jeffrey Epstein was a product of one or more elements of the intelligence community. End quote. Weinstein explained that Epstein likely had a connection to the scientific community and potentially influenced research or funding within it. He mentions, also in the same interview, that very powerful people told him he needed to meet Epstein and that Epstein knew a tremendous amount about his scientific work. He found this to be unusual. He also went on to claim that, quote, he had no idea who Epstein was and he didn't know who ran him, but he claimed that he was not a financier in any standard sense. That was a cover story. British entrepreneur Bartlett then asks Weinstein about having met Epstein, and he says, quote, he wasn't a financier the day I met him, end quote. Weinstein goes on to describe Epstein as a weird guy who didn't seem to know a lot about currency trading. Weinstein also described Epstein as a construct. In the podcast, Weinstein questions why Epstein's ties to the intelligence community haven't been more thoroughly investigated. Weinstein believes that part of this is due to the efficacy collapse happening within various academic and scientific institutions.
Yeah, I mean, about what was it? They said it would hurt national security. I mean, and we're talking about hedge fund managers would be taken out. I mean, that might cause a collapse in the market due to people have their dependence on whoever's leading that company. Yeah, usually the leadership of a company depends on how much, people are willing to invest in it. Yeah, there could be that. The government, the fallout in the government. We'd have possibly a bunch of open seats. Maybe a few, maybe one or two, but most likely like 4 or 5 open seats due to people having to step down or getting prosecuted. If we just release the whole Epstein files unredacted, I mean, yeah, we're talking about from the financial world, political world, like science world, movie, all of it is going to be turned on top of his head. All of it.
On July 16th, 2025, in an article published by ABC News, victims' rights lawyer Brad Edwards stated, quote, the government should know whether or not he was an intelligence asset, whether he's ever done work with the government, whether he's ever had a deal with the government before, end quote. He also said, quote, I would assume that is also within the Epstein files. I don't know that information. I would like to know, end quote. Edwards has spent the last 2 decades searching for the truth about Epstein's life and crimes. But despite the implications and significance of these connections to intelligence, most of mainstream media has declined to dig deeper into these claims and has instead opted to largely focus on the more salacious aspects of the Epstein scandal. The narrative soon became that Epstein was an anomaly, the sole mastermind, the only one involved in an industrial enterprise, and a talented con artist. Even his closest associates and benefactors, like retail billionaire Les Wexner, have been taken at their word that they knew nothing of Epstein's crimes, even when there is considerable evidence to the contrary. It's crazy. You see this in the media, and you see this with the government. Prime example, Ghislaine Maxwell's recent thing. You go in and you ask them, what do you know about Epstein? I didn't know anything. Okay, interview over. That's all it takes.
Bro, literally, that pissed me off too. I was like, bro, you guys are supposed to have a follow-up interview grilling her ass. Like, first off, you gave her a sweetheart interview, and that's cool. You're supposed to give her a good cop interview, let her lie, let her feel comfortable, let her give you the BS story she's gonna give you. You go back, go over the facts, and you come back and you grill her ass over the story that she told you that you recorded. Like, remember when you said this? All right, great. Well, we went back and talked to this person and found this information right here that contradicts your story. Can you please explain that? That's all you had to do to go get Lane, and we'd have got everything we wanted. But apparently, all she needed was just one sweetheart interview, and that was it.
Somebody robs a bank. They have a huge 1920 style big bag of money with a giant dollar sign written on it. They got it slung over their shoulder, and they're sitting there, and the cops walk up to them and say, "Hey, do you know anything about that bank robbery?" And the person just goes, "No," and they just turn around and walk away. There's no further investigation, even though it's incredibly obvious the evidence points to this person being involved. They're trying their hardest to not involve people and to not dig any deeper. There was lots of reporting recently about the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. You might know the guy. He's got a kind of a distinctive look. He actually went on the record and claimed that Epstein was blackmailing people. This is an active government official in the U.S. right now. I'm just going to read you from this article that was published on ABC News. Asked by the New York Post's Miranda Devine on Wednesday's Podforce One podcast whether high-profile associates of Epstein knew of his behavior and just ignored it, Lutnick said he believes, quote, "No, they participated. They participated. That's what his MO was. Get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video." Lutnick said, "This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever," end quote. Lutnick, Epstein's former neighbor, said he believes Epstein may have traded alleged blackmail videos for a lesser prison sentence in the so-called sweetheart deal. Quote, "I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence," which...
Well, I mean, videos on who, though? Like a Casca? Like, I mean, Bill Barr? Like, who? Well, Donald Barr? Like, who? Because, I mean, hey, if he slipped the video to a Casca and Casca hitting him like, I'm about to send you to jail for like, bro, like 25, 30 years, right? Like, rest of your life. And he looks at Casca in his eye, just slides him that little disc and be like, watch that and call me tomorrow. Casca watches it, sees he gets caught doing some wild stuff. He calls Jeffrey Epstein like, "So, yeah, bro, hey, man, my buddy, my dog. So, bro, how you feeling about, you could get in and out of jail, just to keep doing what you're doing, and we just sweep this under the rug, man. My bad to disturb what you're doing. Like, you never know." Like, God forbid.
Allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial... How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? There must have been a trade. Now, remember, this is still in the article. This is just crazy. It's all been a big hoax, Trump told reporters in July. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. Lutnick, in his interview with Devine, described Epstein as gross. "I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage?" Lutnick said. And he says, "Every day." And then he gets like weirdly close to me. And he says, "And the right kind of massage," Lutnick said. So that's just going to point out that there are actual people in the U.S. government right now, trusted people in Trump's world, that are saying Epstein was a blackmailer, which is in complete contrast with what Kash Patel, the skeezy little in charge of the FBI, has to say about Epstein, where he says there's zero...
Yeah, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel got to go. Like, one, Kash Patel was talking the most ish before he got confirmed. This man completely sold us. I mean, bro, this man done failed just off all the promises that he made and that he completely failed on. I'm still waiting for the 24-hour declassification like haul or whatever that he said he was going to make. Like, the man made all the promises in the world. He made us oh so excited for him to be FBI director because he made it seem like he was going to come in there like a wrecking ball, bro. Like, he was just going to come in there kicking in doors and releasing files. But no, he came in there, kicked in the doors, and helped them redact the files. Like, come on, bro. And then with the Charlie Kirk assassination, failed that one. I mean, Thomas Crooks, failed that one. Like, bro, what else is you failing?
Zero evidence. There's not a shred of credible evidence that Epstein tried a single person or even had a operation in the first place, which is just mental. Along with the United States intelligence agencies.
Oh, yes. And then the pathetic rant on Twitter, on X, about, stop calling my girlfriend a honeypot. You're hurting my feelings because it's obvious that she looks that good and I'm not the best looking guy, but you don't got to point it out. I'm like, yes, bro. Yes, your girlfriend's hot, and it looks like you're a honeypot. I ain't gonna lie. Bro, you don't look like her type, bro. We're trying to do you a favor, Cash. You are being used as a honeypot, bro. Instead of Fang Fang, it's this lady. I can't really tell you a commonly female Jewish name. I'm sorry, I can't. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on there.
Epstein was alleged to have connections to several foreign governments as well, including the governments of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United Kingdom. During the 1980s, for example, Epstein used an Austrian passport with a false name and a Saudi Arabian residence. The FBI found this passport in a safe after searching his home in Manhattan. Here's a news clip.
New details today on financier Jeffrey Epstein's fight to get out of a federal lockup as he faces charges. Two of his accusers faced him at a bail hearing Monday, and we learned more about what was found inside of his home. CBS 4's Mola Lenghi is covering the case in New York City.
In a safe inside Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan home, prosecutors say they found piles of cash and diamonds, plus an expired foreign passport with Epstein's picture, a fake name, and residency listed as Saudi Arabia. They
Wow.
also discovered new photos of...
I'm sorry, that just sounds like an Israeli spy. Because, I mean, bro, all these Mossad guys, they mostly do their operation where? In the Middle East. Infiltrating where? In the Middle Eastern countries. So the fact that he had a passport, an expired one from Saudi Arabia, I mean, yeah, that's a bit concerning. Leaning more towards the Israeli asset side.
Nude and semi-nude, plus bank accounts totaling over $500 million. All reasons the government wants Epstein to remain in jail until his trial.
Certainly anybody that keeps thousands of pictures of children in his home is somebody that I think could present a danger to the community.
This supposedly was during the time in which Epstein was working with Saudi Arabian businessman Adnan Khashoggi, who obviously you may know from being heavily involved in the Iran-Contra affair. Khashoggi is one of the most notorious kind of intelligence, deep state bad guys that has ever existed. Weapons from America to the Middle East and so much more. Epstein was really close with Adnan, and he worked with him frequently on many projects. I don't know if you knew that, but if that doesn't scream intelligence to you right away when you read that for the first time, I mean, the Iran-Contra affair is one of the biggest intelligence CIA scandals of all time, and the lead player, really, of that scandal, Khashoggi, was working with Epstein during that same time period. It's hard to believe. In a 2025 news clip with Chanel Ryan, Mike Benz explained Adnan Khashoggi's connection to the CIA in particular. Just take a look at this. It's pretty watered down.
Now, Adnan Khashoggi was the CIA's primary middleman for illicit arms trafficking in the Middle East for the entirety of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Adnan Khashoggi was the largest weapons dealer in the entire world.
And this is the guy the entire left said that Saudi Arabia was a pariah for having executed this man.
Yeah.
That's the guy there.
That's his uncle. So Jamal Khashoggi is Adnan Khashoggi's nephew. But the Khashoggi family is deeply involved in CIA and military and diplomatic affairs all across the Middle East and NATO. Adnan Khashoggi was the main character in the Iran-Contra scandal of the early 1980s, right when Jeffrey Epstein was his personal asset shielder, his money laundering. Yes, financial fixer, exactly. So Jeffrey Epstein gets a fake passport at this time.
Alleged Saudi Arabian.
Yes,
And then
a listing of residence.
allegedly also an Israeli passport too, right?
So I know that
allegedly.
there's 3 passports or so that were found, 3 or 4 passports that were found in the safe. I don't know what the other residences were, but the fact is the Adnan Khashoggi affair with Iran-Contra was Khashoggi working with the Central Intelligence Agency and the U.S. National Security Council, hiding this all from Congress because Congress had passed this thing called the Boland Amendment, which prevented the whole purpose of this Iran-Contra deal was to basically sell weapons to Iran, even though there was an arms embargo, so it was illegal, and then use the proceeds of the weapons to fund a second proxy war in Nicaragua that the Democrats had passed a ban on. And the whole thing was basically selling illegal weapons to Iran through Israel.
Now, Adnan Khashoggi was one of several defense contractors that Epstein knew and worked with in the 1980s. Epstein's lawyers later claimed that this was for personal protection to be presented to potential hijackers or terrorists when Epstein was traveling in the Middle East. His Jewish faith and substantial wealth, according to them, made him a significant target while traveling. He kept those connections to deep state weapons kind of evil individuals just to protect himself. Epstein also was allegedly very close with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS. At the time, the sudden rise of MBS was highly controversial due to his orders that were given to Jamal Khashoggi, a political Saudi journalist who openly criticized the Saudi government, who was a resident of the United States. Keep in mind that's something too that the U.S. doesn't really care about. A U.S. citizen was a journalist, was. If you've never heard the story of Jamal Khashoggi, I would highly recommend looking into it. There's security footage of him walking into a building and a bunch of Saudi Arabian guys walking in after him. And then they all come out carrying little boxes or suitcases. I can't remember what it is, but it's essentially what they believe was his. He was in that building. His body parts were stuffed into these smaller containers, and then they were brought out piece by piece by these people. It's a known thing that MBS, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, ordered this American journalist to be, and the U.S. has never even said anything about it. We're just such weak little wimps who cower to power. We don't stand up for anybody. We stand up kind of for ourselves, barely, but
yeah, I mean, let's be real though. He was in a country trying to expose corruption. I mean, that's the risk that a lot of these journalists take. And it's almost like to sit there means that we kind of were like kind of spying on these guys and low-key trying to incite propaganda to possibly get their government overthrown. So we can't sit here and pretend like this might not have been a regime change operation, because, you know, we don't just use military force. We definitely use propaganda as well.
In this case, we're letting Americans.
Not that I'm, you know, sitting there justifying it. Like, not at all. I'm just saying, bro, shout out to that guy, because he did something that a lot of guys didn't want to do, is go out there, speak against that government. And I'm gonna be real with you, to think that nothing was going to happen might have been a bit naive.
Citizens get,
I mean, you're speaking out against a monarch. No, not a government, but a monarch. I mean, speaking out against a government is one thing, because that's a lot of people you're speaking out against, different people. But a monarch, dog, you're talking about the whole family. A monarch that controls the resources and like that are basically trillionaires. You don't think they can make a couple people millionaires just for chopping that boy up? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Maybe it wasn't the best well thought out plan.
And multiple American citizens in the Israel-Palestine conflict that's going on right now. Haven't said anything about that. Of course not. So, but back to Epstein. You see, on November 7th, 2016, Epstein flew his private jet to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as documented by aviation data. Then he returned to Paris on the 9th. There are two major events that could have been related to Epstein's 48-hour trip to Saudi Arabia that were revealed in the news at that time. On November 8th, the day after Epstein landed in Saudi Arabia, Crown Prince MBS bestowed Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Joseph F. Dunford Jr., with the Order of King Abdulaziz, a civilian award for distinguished service to Saudi Arabia. The second, though, was Jeff Bezos. On November 9th, so Epstein was already there for a day, and he would be there the rest of the day before leaving the next day. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, allegedly held a meeting with Jeff Bezos, several Amazon executives, and two Saudi ministers. The Saudi press claimed that they discussed fields of cooperation and investment opportunities available to the kingdom's Vision 2030, the Crown Prince's signature economic initiative. In a nutshell, this vision was that Saudi Arabia would be moving away from being oil dependent and trying to move into tourism, technology, and other industries. If MBS was interested in an investment opportunity, why not have Jeff Bezos and Epstein there? Epstein's address book, made public in 2015, listed many individuals with ties to the Middle East, including a Saud, Prince Salman, believed to be MBS's father, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and Prince Bandar bin Sultan, MBS's cousin and the former Saudi ambassador to the U.S. So, one other thing that is very strange is Bandar bin Sultan. Bandar Bush is what he was known as in the United States. He was the Saudi to U.S. ambassador, basically the delegate from Saudi Arabia at the time of 9/11. And on and after 9/11, President George W. Bush was photographed extensively conversing and talking with Bandar Bush, Bandar bin Sultan, and even laughing. The two of them were sitting together.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because I mean, they were really close. I mean, those are both oil tycoons, bro. These guys were so close, they basically gave that guy that's why they called him Vanguard Bush, because he was so close to the Bush family that it was like unreasonable. And they're like, I mean, friends, business partners. I mean, the closest you could be, bro, pulling up for Sunday dinner at the Bushes. Like, all right, that's how cool they were.
It's very, very bizarre photographs. And we could go down the rabbit hole extremely deep with Saudi Arabia and 9/11. I believe that those people were let completely off the hook with their connections to those attacks. Just look at the amount of hijackers that came from Saudi Arabia, and the US has always been like harsh, stating there's no connection there, but there's like absolutely boatloads of evidence that there is indeed a very, very strong and disturbing connection between 9/11 and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But back to Epstein. The address book of Epstein's also contained the names of Saudi businessmen Amr al-Dabah and Wafiq Saeed. A spokesperson for al-Dabah denied any relationship with Epstein, but journalist Edward J. Epstein recounted an April 2013 meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, who's unrelated. The two of them aren't related, just the same last name, which occurred at Epstein's Upper East Side mansion. He said in his article, quote, "In the anteroom, I had seen photos of Epstein with Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Emirate Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, some in beachwear and with snorkel gear. I asked, are these clients in the Middle East? He answered that some were, and that he was planning to buy a house in Riyadh since that was becoming the new center of international finance," end quote. A Business Insider article in September 19 asked several Emirati agencies whether Mohammed bin Zayed was friends with or had a connection to Epstein. None of the agencies, including the UAE embassy in Washington, D.C., acknowledged their requests for comment. They didn't even deny it or say, we received your message and it's a no. They just never responded. Journalist James Stewart detailed similar visits to his New York mansion, stating that Epstein showed him a photograph of Mohammed bin Salman, which was hanging on his wall. Stewart said that Epstein told him, quote, the Crown Prince had visited him many times and they often spoke, end quote. Stewart also said that Epstein had spoken to the Saudis about possibly investing in Tesla, the company owned by Elon Musk, but he didn't elaborate about which Saudis or any other specifics. According to a Middle East Eye article in 2019, Saudi Arabia ended up investing $2 billion in Tesla last year, but the company, of course, denied ever working with Jeffrey Epstein. Unfortunately, due to Epstein's tragic in 2019, not much more was determined about his connection to Saudi Arabian intelligence. I did a whole video about Epstein's ties to Israeli intelligence and the leaked email messages that were recently published between Epstein and Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel and one of Israel's top intelligence-related.
Actually, bro, it was really telling. It was his connection to Ehud Barak, ex-Israeli prime minister, has a position in the defense cabinet, and bro, also, what was it? A Rothschild. Yeah, one of the Rothschilds. I forgot the name. What was it? Adrian D. Rothschild, I believe. And bro, they had a huge connection with this guy. They were trying to do real business with him, and they were really close. Now, does this mean that they were doing crime together? As far as the Rothschilds go, no, it seems like it was mainly business. But when it comes to Jeffrey and Ehud Barak, yeah, it does seem like there was a little bit more going on there.
Figures from all of Israeli history, but we do need to cover some of this stuff again because it is pretty important. Now, Epstein was also accused of being an intelligence asset many times over of the Israeli government, and that's because he was one. U.S. journalists Dylan Howard, Melissa Cronin, and James Robertson linked Epstein to the Israeli Mossad in their book, Epstein, Men Tell No Tales. They relied for the most part on the former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben-Menash. According to him, Epstein's activities as a spy served to gather compromising material on powerful people in order to blackmail them. According to the book One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 2, written by Whitney Webb, I highly recommend you read both volumes of that book. They're very long, but very enlightening. The 1990s saw a proliferation of Israeli espionage activity in the United States that targeted the highest levels of government all the way up to the White House. Now, there was wiretapping. There was wiretapping of White House phones by the Israeli government for the purpose of gathering blackmail, and that's recorded, and that did take place. But it's also important to keep in mind that Epstein himself had been visiting the White House at that very same time where he allegedly courted the president, Bill Clinton. I just did an episode about that recently, and other influential White House officials, congressmen, and senators. Former Israeli intelligence official Ari Ben-Menash has alleged that Epstein's blackmail operation was created at Israel's behest. Israel specifically requested that Epstein start doing this for them, specifically to blackmail President Bill Clinton, who they wanted to have under their thumb. Ari Ben-Menash specifically said the following, quote, "The Israelis feared that Mr. Clinton, when he was campaigning for president, will be a repeat of Mr. Carter. He wanted to press them for peace with the Palestinians and all that stuff. They feared Clinton wasn't that, but they feared he was that. And I think Mr. Epstein was sent early on to catch up with President Clinton," end quote. It's said that Epstein visited Clinton approximately 17 times in less than 2 years. In May of 2023, a story from the Wall Street Journal that was reprinted by the Times of Israel alleged that former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, like I just mentioned before, met with Epstein dozens of times starting in 2013, but their friendship has been documented to have existed long before that. Beginning in December 2015, for example, Ehud Barak met with Epstein monthly for nearly a year straight. In July 2019, the New York Times reported that Ehud Barak, then 77 years old, had received approximately $2.3 million in payments between 2004 and 2006 from a foundation associated with Epstein. Epstein also invested a reported $1 million in a limited partnership established by Barak in 2015, which I talked about in that previous video, a partnership that was funding a 911 service that basically if you call 911, they can get access to your phone and your camera and use your phone as their own and access every part of your phone. And there are members of the U.S. government.
I could see where that would be clutch. You're like, oh my God, somebody's trying to murder me. Quick, let me access your phone. Boom, there's the camera. They can see the guy. I mean, okay, I can see where that works out. But then let's say that they never left and now they're just forever in your phone and you don't even know. I mean, hey, it is what it is then, huh?
U.S. Department of Defense, I believe, or Homeland Security former officials that are on the board of directors with that company. So clearly it's some sort of intelligence front that Epstein invested in. And it was tied to also Peter Thiel, the king of deep state intelligence, just evil sort of guy. But if you want to know more about that, I would highly recommend you watch my specific Epstein Israel video. Now, Ehud Barak's purported ties to Epstein were even admonished by current Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who at the time called for an investigation into Barak and Epstein's friendship. In January 2024, former National Security Agency or NSA counterspy John Schindler wrote on his top secret Umbra blog that Epstein appeared to have been a part of a shadowy Israeli influence operation characterized and known as...
And all right, I am going a bit over time now. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to close this one out because I have 6 hours until I gotta go to work. Tough. But shout out to my man Chase. All right, Chase. So for you, I'm gonna go ahead and run Conspiracy Hour tomorrow as well, just so we can finish up on the video, because I do feel bad that we weren't able to finish this one. So I got you, brother. I got you. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and end that on this one, guys. I appreciate the support. I already did the monologue, so shout out Chase. So shout out Chase for go ahead and knocking that one out for us. So shout out to Chase, man. I appreciate that one. All right, yes, guys, we are going to go ahead and knock this one out. I got about 6 hours until I got to get up, and still got to work a whole full shift. So appreciate the support, guys. I'm heading out on this one. Peace.
France's government has collapsed as the country heads towards this major catastrophe that could plunge Europe into its worst crisis since World War II. The French stock...
Fyodor Dostoevsky, the master of human contradiction, once said, "Nothing is easier than to denounce the evildoer. Nothing is more difficult than to understand him." He didn't write to glorify pain or justify cruelty. He wrote to remind us that every monster was once a child who wanted to be loved. That behind every sin there is a reason we no longer try to see. He believed the soul is not divided between good and evil, but torn between what it hides and what it dares to confess. We judge easily because understanding requires us to look inside ourselves, to see the same chaos, the same fear, the same fragile longing for meaning. Dostoevsky understood that morality is not purity. It's the courage to confront our own darkness without pretending we're untouched by it. And maybe that's why his words still echo today, because we are all, in some way, trying to forgive the parts of ourselves we once condemned in others.